Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of technical difficulty up here. It appears to be resolved. If everyone would please take their seats, I'm going to call the December 15th, 2010 meeting of the City Council to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. And these proceedings are being presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. The council meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the city's website at www.kclv.tv. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m. and also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 1 p.m. We always make this announcement out of an abundance of caution. This council chamber is protected by a state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system, so should alarms activate, please leave through the exits. Our marshal will tell you when it's safe to re-enter. As I say, no reason to believe this would ever happen, but we do it out of a matter of caution. Before we proceed with the agenda, would everyone please rise for the invocation given this morning by Reverend Bonnie Polly, Christ Episcopal Church, and please remain standing for the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, who has filled the world with beauty, open our eyes to behold your gracious hand in all of your works, that rejoicing in your whole creation we may learn to serve you with gladness. Be present with all who have gathered today to participate in this City Council meeting. Give to each one new insight into your purposes and new wisdom and determination in making provision for the future in accordance with your will. Grant, O God, that your holy and life-giving Spirit may so move every heart, and especially the hearts of the commissioners of the City Council seated here today, that barriers which divide us may crumble, suspicions disappear, and hatred cease, that our divisions being healed, we may live in justice and peace. For the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're doing it out of order here. We're doing something a little different, folks. Doing something a little different. All right. Because we have a very important presentation that is going to be given to us today by our Assemblyman John Oseguera, who was the Speaker of the Nevada Assembly. Out of courtesy to him, I'm going to call item number 49 before we do even the ceremonial. Now, I know that may put some people in a tough position as far as time is concerned, but we believe that you heard some very positive statements during the course of our redevelopment agency about the city of Las Vegas and how we're thriving for all intents and purposes in a very mean and awful economy. We think it's necessary for we, the council, myself, to hear from our speaker as to how he perceives the state of the economy at this point in time. And I'm going to call item number 49 for a report from him. I think it will be instructive. It may put a different emphasis on what you heard before, but the public should know exactly what is happening in the community. And I apologize for going out of order here, but I think that you'll find this very instructive. At this time, I would ask Speaker Oseguera to please come forward.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. For the record,
I know this is not
Ted Olivas.
No, the Speaker shrunk.
Director.
Mr. Olivas.
Always have to short jokes. Director of Administrative Services. I'd like to introduce the newly elected Speaker of the Nevada Assembly, Assemblyman John Oseguera. He's going to provide an update regarding the upcoming session, as you know. A little bit about Speaker Oseguera. He's a Nevada guy. He grew up in northern Nevada, spent many years here in southern Nevada attending college, graduate school at UNLV. He's an assistant chief for the North Las Vegas Fire Department. He served as a legislator in the legislature since 2001. Clearly, with that tenure, he's familiar with the issues that are facing the state and the local governments. We've worked well together in the past for many years, and we're going to continue to do so in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Speaker Oseguera.
Thank you, Mr. Levis. Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. First and foremost, I just want to say that the reason that I thought this was important to come was just to open up that line of communication, to open up that dialogue. I don't know if you've ever had the speaker come and talk to you in this formal setting. So I hope that I can be informative. I hope that we can talk. You can have some questions. It'll take a couple minutes, and I apologize, but actually I think it might be informative to the folks that are in the crowd too, because there is some misconception that we really haven't done a lot at the state, and I think when I'm done with this presentation you realize that we've cut a lot of services, and we will continue to have to cut a lot of services in this next legislative session. And so hopefully we can work together to figure out who best to provide what services, and I look forward to that. So
As do we. We have had discussions amongst ourselves and with our manager and with you as well, where we have pledged our cooperation, and we want to be part of the solution, not a problem.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The presentation is basically broken into three parts. Where we've been, so what we've done in the last legislative session and the last two special sessions, where we are, where we rank, where we rate, and then what I think that we have to do in this legislative session. So you all probably know this, but for the folks in the crowd, we're the highest foreclosure rate in the nation, 54% of home sales coming from foreclosures. Unemployment rate, high as well, 14.2. Highest in the nation. The rate is 9.8 around the rest of the country. Our income, or our discretionary, comes from discretionary spending from others who travel here. So as the national economy recovers, so too will Las Vegas and the state. We have the largest budget deficit in the nation. When I talk to some of my colleagues around the country, they have bigger numbers. They post bigger numbers. Ours is around $2.7 billion, but they say, geez, ours is like California. Ours is $30 billion, But in percentage-wise, ours ranks at the top, and that's what this slide shows. Nevada at 54% of our budget in the deficit. But there are some good things. We rank the second lowest, and I think actually the presentation I heard earlier quoted some of this as well. Second lowest in tax burden in the country, and the fourth best business tax climate. Although, as you well know, we have the fewest state and local employees per capita, so ranking us at the bottom on that rank of 51st. There is a figure that I've heard that said at the state level, even if we hired 10,000 more employees, we would still rank in the bottom half of the number of employees that we have per capita. So, we have a low tax burden, and we have a lean budget structure. So where does the general fund revenue come from? It comes really mainly from two places. It comes from our sales and use tax, and comes from our gaming tax. So about 57% of all our revenue comes from those two places. So when you hear people say, well, why don't you just raise, say, for example, the cigarette tax? Well, the cigarette tax is 3.1%. We could raise that by $2 a pack and never even come close to this kind of budget deficit. So that's part of the issue. What do we spend our money on? We spend our money on a couple things, but 93% of it is in a couple areas. Education, so as you'll see, K through 12 and higher education, which is signified on this map by the NSHE, the Nevada State Higher Education, that's about 55% of our budget. Health and Human Services is about 30% of our budget, and public safety, parole, probation, those kind of things, prison, is about 9%. So, as an example, people say, well, why don't you just shut down all the parks, or why don't you close all the museums? Well, that's about 4 or 5% of the state budget, and you could do that, and we have limited the number of hours in those facilities, but it really doesn't make a dent. in the budget. So where do we stand then? That's where the money comes from. We're 47th in the quality of life. So when they look at quality of life, they look at schools, health, crime, cost of living, and poverty rates. We're also 47th in America's top states for business. Why is that, though? We just heard that we have a good tax rate. Well, it's because of our education system. It's because of our quality of life. We're 37th in the quality of life and 50th in education. So let's just go through some of those categories really quickly. Where are we at in education? We're near the bottom in education. We're 43rd in per pupil spending, and we just cut per pupil spending, and I'll get to that in a second, for the first time in decades. So we cut the amount of money per pupil this time. We're 46th in higher education expenditures. We're 45th in residents that have bachelor's degrees. And we're 41st in 18 to 24-year-olds that are enrolled in college. So that's education. Where are we at in health and human services? Well, we're last in children without health insurance. We're last in the number of women with prenatal care. We're second highest in suicide rate. And we're 46th in the number of children that are fully immunized. Public safety. Where are we at in public safety? Second highest in violent crime and the highest robbery rate. So you might ask, well, what have we done? What has the legislature done over the last couple of years? This will just detail in those areas that we just talked about what we did in a special session 2 years ago, the session of 2009, and then the special session that took place after the 2009 session. In K through 12, in our education system, we slashed textbook funding by 50%. So we cut our funding for books in the school by 50%. We cut our library books by 15%. We reduced our programs for the gifted and talented. And we cut our adult education and vocational programs. Then, in the special session after the 2009 session, we cut our textbooks again. We cut the supplies and instruction materials, and we slashed teacher training funds. What do we cut in higher education? Higher education, we've got 674 positions that we've cut. We cut 24 degree programs in our university system, and then we increased the fees as well. So we increased the fees by 31% to our folks that are going to college, meaning that they are now paying their share about $52 million more in fees to help supplement the higher education system. But the problem doesn't stop because people are still going to school, they're still enrolling, and enrollment's going up. So enrollment's gone up by about 8.6% in our higher education system. Health and Human Services, and this is where it really starts to tug at my heartstrings at least. In the last session, in the last special session, we cut personal care services for the elderly and disabled. This is where we try to keep people in the home. We try to keep that care in the home, so we keep them out of facilities. So we cut those services. We cut the Medicaid payments to doctors, hospitals, and clinics. So those private facilities, we did this in the prisons too, when we bring private vendors in to assist in those facilities, we're cutting the payments that we're giving to them. We closed our Dayton and Fernley mental health clinics. On the chopping blocks in the last session were all of the mental health clinics in the rural area. And you think it's tough in the urban area to get mental health care for folks. In the urban area, it's even, in the rural area, it's even more challenging, and we've closed several of those facilities already. We cut the eligibility staff by 15%. What's eligibility staff? Those are the folks that are behind the counter saying, yes, you can have this service. So the line's out the door because we can't even sign them up for a service. And then on top of that, we cut the personal assistance, the assistance to people with traumatic brain injury, autism programs. We were very fortunate to pass some autism legislation last time, but then we cut the funding for it. And the independent living for the disabled. Then we came back and we did it again. We lowered the staffing for our mental health facilities. We cut 22 hospital beds, and as you know, in this area, that's a big challenge. We continued the reductions in the Medicaid reimbursements, and we cut funding again for personal care services. We also, just one more on that, we cut the capacity at our youth training facility and closed our Summit View correctional facility as well. Speaking of corrections, we closed a lot of facilities along that line too. We closed the Southern Nevada Correctional Center, we closed the Silver Springs Conservation Camp, and we closed one section of the Nevada State Prison. We delayed all capital improvement on any of our facilities as well. We froze about 20% of the positions in the prison system, and we cut all the substance abuse and reentry programs. So those programs that get people back into civilization and get them functioning well, we had to cut. We eliminated our DUI treatment program, and that was an outside contractor, so that also affected the private sector as well. Then we came back and we closed, in the next special session, we closed 100 more beds at our women's correctional facility, and we closed unit number 8 at the Nevada State Prison. And as I mentioned, we reduced the medical payments to Medicare patients. We also in parole and probation, we had a hiring freeze there, and we left 90 positions unfilled. We cut 23 public safety officer positions in the special session after that. So, I know that's good news, right? Yeah. But I think it's important and informative to let you know that, we're not sitting on our hands at the state. We're doing the same things that local government has to do as well, and we're cutting services, but right now we're cutting deeply. And so let me just mention now, in a second I'll tell you about the 10% projected cuts that the governor's made and what those will entail. But first, we have a projected revenue of about $5.3 billion. This is the Economic Forum. It's a group of private individuals that meet, and we're held to that constitutionally. We're held to take their numbers and use them to have a balanced budget. We also have to have a balanced budget by the Constitution. So they came in with a number that they said the revenue would be about $5.3 billion. That's about $1.1 billion short of what we need. And over the next 2 years, it's been estimated that that'll be about $2.7 billion. Why is that? And let me try to explain. The general fund revenue is, yes, $1.1 billion, and you hear some argument in the press about how this works. But in the last legislative session, what we did was a couple of things. We took out of the general fund and did a couple of things. We took ARA money. We took about $600 million in ARA money that has to be replaced. We took about $300 million, or there's going to be about a $300 million shortfall from the school support tax, and there's about $300 million that we took out of the general fund to pay for other programs, just different programs that we use general fund money for. And then the last and certainly not least, our employees have taken merit pay, furlough, no step increases, and that is about $500 million. That's another vote we'll have to take. And sometimes folks forget that we're going to have to vote to do that again. We had told our employees that we're going to do that for 2 years. We didn't tell them we were going to do it indefinitely, and so we will have to take a vote again. So that is where you get the difference of about $2.7 billion. So the executive branch of the government, the governor, the current governor, said we need to cut 10% out of the budget, 10% across the board. This is post the numbers I've already told you, and so I'd just like to give you some insight on where that would put us. That's about 10% of the budget is about $819 million, so that doesn't even get us to the 1.1 or the 2.7, but so at 10%, what would happen? These are just a few things. In the K-12 reductions, we would have to, again, lower our basic support, per pupil support. We would eliminate full-day kindergarten, and we would eliminate our educational technology and career programs. We'd also have to continue the suspension, which we've already suspended, of our non-reference tests. What those are the tests that compare us to other states. So if we ever wanted to implement a merit-based pay system, we have no way of measuring against anyone else. In Health and Human Services, we'd have to eliminate our problem gaming program. We'd have to eliminate our Senior Citizens Property Tax Assistant program, and we would have to eliminate our senior mental health outreach programs. We'd have to eliminate generally all of our optional services provided under our Medicaid programs, which include the in-home personal care that we talked about earlier, the adult daycare, our dentures and relines. I mean, it gets pretty ugly at this point, and some of the vision services as well. Also, on top of that, our Mammovan, our breast cancer detection program, would go away, and all the funding for the non-medical room treatment of children. So if they weren't in the facility, the DCFS is the Division of Children and Family Services. If they weren't specifically in that facility, we'd have to eliminate all those programs. We'd have to further eliminate beds or reduce beds at the Nevada Youth Training Center in Elko, and reduction for support in people with mental illness. And we would have to eliminate by 50% our Southern Nevada's mental health court completely, and 50% in Northern Nevada. The Department of Prisons, we'd have to close the Nevada State Prison. And we'd have to eliminate our differential pay for employees in rural and remote areas. That differential pay, as you know, most of our prisons are in places like Lovelock and Ely. And although those are great places in the state, to get people to go work at the prison there sometimes requires a little incentive. So we would have to eliminate those incentives. Our parole and probation supervision caseload would go from 70 to 80. That may not seem like that much, but if you think about the fact that 70 is already 3 times the national average, we'd be going from 70 to 80, and so we'd probably be around 4 times the national average on the number of caseload people are supervising. And then we'd have to eliminate all the staff support for the Pardons Board. So interestingly enough, after I've told you all that, I just had this fact here. We could make the largest cut that we've ever made in state government and at the same time make the largest tax increase, and we still would not balance our budget. So what's our charge? We're going to start the legislature on Monday, February the 7th, and we're going to adjourn 120 days, I hope. 120 days later, they're shaking their head. We have to use those economic forum projections to balance our budget, and we have to have a balanced budget. As you know, there's no simple answer here. If there was a simple answer, I believe we would have already done it. So what are we going to do? And this is just what one person's view of what we need to do. I think we're going to have to cut. We will have to cut, and we will have to do spending reform. There's no doubt in my mind. Where we're going to find that, I just pointed out some of the areas that we would have to look to. That's really all that's left. We've swept every account. We've cut everything we possibly could cut. I think there needs to be some long-term reforms in our pension programs, and I think we need to work on that. Economic development, well, we heard, or redevelopment, but in economic development area, I think we need to focus our efforts. Mr. Mayor, I think the medical tourism downtown is a splendid idea, and we should remove hurdles to bring folks here. We have 12 million square feet of industrial space available. I think we should try to fill those spots with data and computer and IT type folks, high-paying jobs, and we should do everything we can to bring those folks here. And of course, there's no reason why we shouldn't be the green energy capital of the world. Here, solar, Northern Nevada, geothermal, there's no reason we shouldn't be working on bringing those jobs and those industries here. I also think that we have to have a vision for Nevada's future. In the last legislative session, Senator Horsford and myself created what we call the Vision Stakeholders Group. Because, quite frankly, one of the things that local government does way better than state government is plans for the future. You have a capital improvement plan that goes for 5 and 10 years, and you stick to it. We change it every 2 years. So we have to have a vision of what kind of state we want to be. And then when we're all done and we've come full circle on doing all of those things first, I think there's still going to be a revenue issue. And I think there's an opportunity there with that in leveling out the up and down that we have in our revenue system and broadening our tax base. But I think we have to talk about the first 5 elements there first before we talk about the revenue side of things. So I know that was a little long, and I apologize, but I think that it's information that's good for you and for everyone. I would love to stand for any questions.
I think questions are fine, but at this time, suggestions to you, I think, probably would be inappropriate without an awful lot of thought. And as you said, it could be individual ideas, but I'm going to ask the council to meet with the manager during our briefings and to submit to the manager any ideas that they have with the information that's been provided to us. And then when we get the ideas down in writing, we can have that as a line item on our agenda. We can come to some kind of an accord as to what our position is as a council, and then forward that up to the speaker for his consideration, rather than to have us shoot off the top of our heads today, because I'm sure each and every one of us has very, very firm ideas as to how the magic wand should be waved, but I don't think that's the appropriate way to do it. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them.
I do, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Ross?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And Mr. Speaker, thank you for, I don't believe we ever had the Speaker come and give us a report, and certainly now is the time. It takes great courage and strength to go to Carson City in a couple of weeks and have to make the difficult decisions that will affect the lives of all Nevadans. We feel that as representatives of the City of Las Vegas. So I want to thank you for that, number one, and I think that's important. I also want to make a statement too, Mayor, if I may.
How about a question instead?
That's the asks. I yielded.
So what I'm concerned about is that everybody will have statements, and I don't think that's the appropriate time to do it.
I'll ask you this question, Mr. Speaker. There will come a time in this state when our legislature cannot meet every 2 years because these issues are so paramount today. Do you see in your vision of the future the legislature changing that schedule anytime? How's that, Mayor?
Excellent. That's exactly the question I wanted to ask.
I will say this. One of the beauties of our state legislature is it is a citizens-based legislature. As you heard, I have a full-time job. I'm the assistant fire chief in North Las Vegas. All of the members have full-time jobs or are retired. And I thought when I first came into the legislature that was a great system. However, after 10 years in the legislature, we have trouble forecasting on the fiscal side 2 years in advance. As a matter of fact, this group of experts, the Economic Forum, has missed the projections 36 straight months in a row. Now, that's not to bag on them, because if you talk to a gaming executive right now, they're forecasting 1 month in advance. If you talk to someone in construction, they're not forecasting anything, right? I mean, it's challenging. So I truly believe that good public policy is a 2 to 5 year process. However, so you don't really need to meet to change the policy that often. But on the fiscal side, I think we should be meeting, every year for at least 30 or 60 days. Now, do I think that's going to happen real soon? I'm not sure, but I think that it makes sense to do that.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Yes, Mayor.
Oh, okay, I didn't see you.
You have to look to your left.
Councilman Barlow.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, thank you. I agree with my colleagues. I mean, this is the first that I ever recall any one from the legislature coming to speak to us. And thank you for this report. I'm sitting here. I'm not surprised by what you shared, but the impact is felt really today, having all the information all at once before me. I do have a question in regards to, in your report, as far as your 2009 regular session when you ran off some of the closures. The number of, for example, in the regular session of 2009 to 26 special session, for example, $162.6 million. And you have here that you all closed the Summit View Correctional Facility. Is that number the cost savings to the state?
It is, and I wish I could have been, I kind of skipped over the numbers because the numbers really don't translate, right? I mean, what's 162 million of what, right?
Right.
You know, of, 100 billion, people don't really understand the state budget and how big it is or how small it is. And so I wish I could have put percentages by there, but it's very complicated to kind of figure out those percentages, and we couldn't narrow that down to percentages so that you could see the percentage cut. But yes, that's the savings to the state by closing those facilities.
Okay, and also, from a public safety standpoint, you mentioned the Department of Corrections, and I'm just pointing out just examples as you went through your presentation, the closure of a state prison. The closure of a state prison, and it's not to put you on the spot, but just for clarification, the closure of a state prison, can we then anticipate a backlog for the local jails with those individuals that, of course, after they see the judge and they, for example, arrive to the correctional facility here, waiting to be sent to prison? So, in essence, that is a backlog in some
Absolutely,
way.
I think
Would
that's
that be
exactly.
accurate?
I think that's accurate. That's what that means, that people will be staying in your facilities longer, waiting for beds to be available in the state system.
Which ultimately then will roll out to the local municipalities as
Right.
far as the impact of our budgets, right?
Sure, and it
Okay.
puts people on the unemployment line as well, because if you're closing a prison, obviously you're letting guards go as well.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for this presentation. I look forward to meeting with you, Betsy, in regards to any my additional thoughts and comments as it relates to the legislature. And I look forward to working with you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
I want to thank you so very much for coming and sharing this information. It wasn't overlong, it was succinct, and it did cover a lot of areas that we get figures here and there, but you put them together nicely. Councilman Barlow asked a couple of questions I was going to ask, but I had one more, and that was in K-12 education, you talk about reductions in educational, technology, and career education programs. Are you talking about maybe closing some of those schools or
Well,
limiting enrollment further?
yeah, as you know, the school district has some autonomy to make those decisions, but if we cut the funding for that, it makes it difficult for them to make those any decisions unless they move money from
If you cut the
somewhere
general
else.
funding to them, because you don't have a specific line for these types of programs, do
We
you?
do in that
You
area,
do?
yeah, the technical, yes, absolutely.
You know, those are some of the finest schools in the city.
I agree.
There are jewels. Those in our magnet schools are the best, and I don't think anybody could think we were ranking at the bottom in any of those schools, particularly because they've won so many national awards. It would be a shame.
And they do so much good for the community and put people to work as well because they have a
Right.
skill when they leave there.
Right.
That's where we're at, though.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? Looking left, looking right. Thank you very much for the report.
Thank
Appreciate it. All right, now we're going to go to our ceremonial portion of the agenda and take care of all these folks.
You all set? Okay, folks, this is the ceremonial portion of our agenda. If you'd be kind enough to have a seat, we're going to Yeah, this is our short meeting, right. For our first ceremonial item, we're going to honor the December Employee of the Month, and I'd like our Information and Technologies Director, Joe Marcella, and GIS Supervisor Anthony Willis to please join us at the podium. Okay, Joe and Anthony, good. And I'm very pleased to announce that the December Employee of the Month is Joel Hillhouse. Joel? Joel has been with the city since 1990, and he's a Geographic Information Systems Analyst. He's been able to save the city thousands of dollars by developing a better system for managing our parks. In the past, the city was using software from an outside vendor to map and catalog parks and the field checks that city staff conducts at those locations. Utilizing his skills with GIS, Joel was able to create a superior in-house system to manage city parks. What he's done basically is he saved the city $45,000 annually because we no longer need to pay the software vendor. That's terrific. And he's trained park staffs in how to use the GIS technology, and when he learned of a $5,000 grant was available to cities to update the mobile GIS systems, he applied, and our city was one of 20 municipalities in the country awarded the grant, and the new mobile GIS systems allow parks workers to update the status of parks while in the field. This allows for information to be more quickly circulated to other city staffers and ultimately the public. He's a self-starter whose hard work has really paid off for the city. So on behalf of the entire City Council, I'd like to congratulate Joel on being named the December 2010 Employee of the Month, and along with this beautiful plaque, Joel have you already received the $100 Visa card? Have you spent it? Not yet. I've got a terrific bet tomorrow night. I love San Diego. San Diego -9. Can we be partners? All right, we're going to talk. Okay. Boy, see, he's an ingrate. It saves us all that money and won't even share it with us. And that, of course, is from the Nevada Federal Credit Union. So with that, I'd like to turn the mic over to Joe. Anthony first. Very good. Anthony?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We just want to say congratulations to Joel. He's a wonderful, wonderful person to work with. I wish we could clone him across the city. He's a great team member, dedicated. You're not going to find a better person and a more hardworking staff member. So congratulations, Joel. It's well deserved.
I want to thank the mayor and council for this opportunity, and I wanted to say that this is a great example of how technology meets a need, but it's even a better example how collaboration made it better. I think what's unique about Joel is he gets out there in the community, he starts to understand what really needs to be done, and he doesn't deliver software, he delivers solutions. Joel?
Don't really have much to say. I'm not a man of many words, but I would like to thank my GIS team, without whom none of this would be possible with the support of them. And thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, the next several items are going to be shared between Councilman Ross and Councilman Wilson. This is a sharing time, though. Councilman Ross is going to recognize a team of city employees, and then he's going to join Councilman Wilson in recognizing the accomplishments of some area high school students. So I'll turn it over to Councilman Ross first.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we're doing sharing time today. For sharing, yeah, stand right here, Councilman. It is our practice every quarter to recognize a group of city employees who, working as a team, exemplify the city's vision, mission, values, and priorities through exceptional teamwork. I nominated the team that was chosen for this quarter, and I asked the mayor if I could introduce them, as I have worked closely with them. This quarter's team is the Foreclosure Neighborhood Stabilization Team, made up of staff from Neighborhood Services, Field Operations, the City Attorney's Office, and Finance and Business Services. I would like to ask our Neighborhood Services Director, Stephen Harson, to join me at the podium. Director, where are you? Come on up here. We all know, especially from the last report we had, that Las Vegas has been hit hard by the foreclosure crisis. It has been as if a tsunami has devastated our city and displaced a lot of people. In 2009, the City of Las Vegas was awarded over $20 million through the Federal Neighborhood Stabilization Program for foreclosure acquisition, buying foreclosed homes, fixing them up, and offering them for sale or rent at reduced prices. This team was tasked with getting this program up and running and either spending or obligating that money by September 19th, 2010. That meant they had to create and design programs that satisfied all the federal rules, obtain public comment, solicit requests for proposals, do inspections, rehabs, reviews, and negotiations. This great team accomplished that goal 9 days early, and on September 10th, they obligated or spent all of that money. As a result, the City of Las Vegas is slated to receive an additional $10 million through the NSP program. These federal funds have so far assisted 132 families in the hardest hit zip codes in this city. The city has worked with the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, the Department of Housing and Urban Development to provide low-income rental housing and down payment assistance. I'm going to ask that all the team members stand, if you would, because if we get you all down here, you okay with that, Mayor?
Sure.
It'll be challenging, and we're kind of on a tight schedule. And so if you'd stand when I call your name, and some of these folks aren't here, but that's okay. Sue Prescott, please stand. Allison Effner. Allison, you're the spokesperson. You got to come down here, so come on down here. Tim Whitwright, Carol Bakwanski, Rafiq Ali, Sarah Branson, Patty Jacobs, Eric King, Rodney Lister, John Candelino, Gloria Sanchez, Cheryl Ross, Christy Strong, Robin Yoakum, Kathy Holquin, John Radilla, Colleen Lewis, Robert Everett, Steve Harris, Dwayne Eldred, and Paul Hendricks. Please give them a great big round of applause. For helping me and helping the citizens of this city do what we need to do to try to help people. It's all yours, Allison.
Thank you. Madam Chair. On behalf of the Neighborhood Stabilization Program team, I'd like to thank the mayor, city council, city manager, and department heads for this honor. This team was comprised of employees working in the various departments, and we always knew that we were going to succeed in our goal, because by meeting our mission, families in Las Vegas would return to safe and affordable housing. Today, we're seeing the impact of the work that has been done over the last 18 months. Once we had a vacant house throughout the city, and now we have homes that have families in them throughout the city. This work will continue far into the future, and I think I can speak on behalf of the team. It's been a vastly rewarding experience for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you. Director?
I just have a few words to say. Again, thank you, Mayor and Council. They've been very supportive. This has been a challenge, but I have to say this group has done a phenomenal job. This has been true collaboration across departments. They've done an amazing task, and they've got a lot more work ahead of them, and I hope you hear more about it in the future. So again, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. And this team is making a difference in our neighborhoods, and I want you all to know that. It's making a big effect, certainly in neighborhoods who have been challenged and homeowners associations throughout the city of Las Vegas. Councilman, would you like to start? We're going to share.
Work it out. Okay.
We have no shortage of talented young people in the city of Las Vegas. I'll start, I guess. The Centennial High School Boys Cross Country Team. Come on down here, boys. There's only a handful of you. So get down here so your parents can see. Now, you got to run. You're here because you run. Okay? Run. The Nevada State 4A Championship was held on November 6, 2010 at Veterans Memorial Park in Boulder City. The Centennial High School Boys Cross Country Team won the Nevada State 4A Championship 4 points ahead of the second place team. This was an impressive win for these young men. All 5 runners finishing in the top 20 and took 1st, 7th, 13th, 14th, and 20th place. This team was led by Nick Hartle and included 2 freshmen, Jackson Carter and George Espino. Jackson finished the race as the fastest freshman in the state. Aside from being great runners, this team has several scholar athletes and are active in the National Honor Society. These young men did an outstanding job and gave a tremendous effort. Help me recognize them, these amazing athletes: Nick Hartle, Kyle Merritt, Dominic Lopez, Bryce Fessler, who's not here, Jackson Carter, George Espino, Billy Gravely, who's also not here, Ian Lee, and Coach Mike McGuire. Where are you, Coach? You're right there. Good. Mr. Day, good to see you, too. Principal Day's with us, too. And a word about Trent Day.
Every time we recognize any students from Centennial High School, this man is here. He supports his students, he supports his staff, and for that I thank you. I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Coach.
Thank you, Councilman Ross. Amazing group of young men here, very proud of them, second state title in the last 3 years. Put a lot of work in to do that, a minimum of 500 miles that they ran, I figured, from July through November. So, most of us would have a hard time doing that, but never complained a bit and represented Centennial High School in the city of Las Vegas, wherever we went. We went to California, up to Oregon for meets, and I was always proud of these young men and represented in a great way. So, very proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Give a round of applause. Great job. Now, I brought you up here so your moms and dads could see you on TV, so that's important. So thank you. Councilman Wolfson, it's yours. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Thank you, Councilman Ross. Good morning, Las Vegas. We're about to kick it up a notch, though, because I will admit to you that I'm a little partial towards girls. I've raised 2 daughters, and people say that the dogs in my house are all girls. Even the fish in my house are all girls. So it's my pleasure to recognize the Palo Verde girls cross-country team who won the 4A state championship. Let's hear it. Not only, come on up, girls, not only did the team do well as a whole, but Katie Gorzyka became the first freshman in 14 years to win the 4A state cross-country title. Katie, raise your hand. Where's Katie? Okay, she's going to be specially recognized. Katie won her championship in 19 minutes, 49 seconds. That was a whole 28 seconds ahead of the young lady who came in second. Katie's first place win, along with Kelsey's 9th place finish, Marissa's 15th place finish, and Ashley coming in 27th, and Sarah finishing 29th, gave Palo Verde a team score of 58 points. That's a whole 10 points better than the second place school. I'd like to invite Coach Davis, who's up here right now, and the team to be recognized. I understand Coach Messina and Coach Gamboa are here also. Is that right? Oh, there you are, over there. Great. You're not girls, so I guess you're the men coaches. Before I give you the certificates, though, I understand that Coach Davis needs to explain the team picture. Can we show there it is. Now, that's Coach Davis on the side. So, Coach Davis, before I introduce the girls individually, explain the picture, please.
Well, I think you might be noticing my hair. I thought the red hair was a good look for me, but it started out as a challenge in August. I like to challenge the girls to try and do something great every season. And so I challenged them that I would get a mohawk if they won region. I said it jokingly, but they took it seriously. And every couple of weeks they mentioned the mohawk, and lo and behold, we upset another team in one region, and then I had to get a haircut. I went home and I told my wife about the mohawk, and she said, that ain't happening. So I kind of escaped the mohawk, and then state came along, and we were waiting around for a race, and all of a sudden this hair dye came out of Nicole Vanderstelt's bag, and I run with the girls every day, so I'm pretty quick still in my old age. And I tried to run away, but turns out they're state champions. And I couldn't escape, and I got a new look, and I think I'm going to go with it for a while.
Well, thanks. Let's recognize the girls individually. Raise your hand when I call your name. Once again, Katie, raise your hand. There you are over there. And I think we have a couple of sister combinations. Is that right? Kelsey and Ashley Cook, Marissa Swan, Sarah Leserwitz, Nicole Vanderstelt, some great last names we have here. Sisters again, Teresa and Isabel Guerra. Yeah. Okay. Christy Jones, Samantha Mendeville, and Ava Benham. Is Ava here? Great. Let's have a round of applause for our state champions. Girls, congratulations. We have certificates of recognition, which I'll hand over to the coach. And I just have one expectation, and that's a championship next year. Who's coming back next year?
for Palo. Okay, that's a pretty big burden you're carrying, so I expect you here next year, okay? Okay, thanks so much. Okay, moving right along because we're a little behind schedule. We always like to recognize group accomplishments, but we also like to recognize individual accomplishments, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to start off with a question. How many of you in the audience or at home took the SAT, which is the Scholastic Aptitude Test, when you were in high school? How many people? Most of us, right? How many of you actually remember your score? Probably not many of us who are my age or so. Well, we have a young man with us today who will always remember his score because his score was perfect. Last year, more than 1.5 million students took the SAT test. Only 382 out of 1.5 million people scored a perfect score of 2,400. And none of these folks were from the state of Nevada. The SAT is a test given to high school students planning to go to college. The higher the student scores, the more schools they have to choose from. To put into perspective how impressive this is, the average SAT score is just over 1,500. Some examples. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, founder of Microsoft, only scored a 1,590. His co-founder, Paul Allen, only scored a 1,600. Bill O'Reilly, a famous political commentator, scored a 1,585. Political speechwriter Ben Stein scored a 1,573. And our own Mayor Oscar Goodman scored, you don't remember?
I sure do.
Perfect score. Perfect score. How many of you believe that? Raise your hand. Seeing none? When you read about these celebrities and their SAT scores, it's unusual to just recognize how much of an accomplishment this is. I'd like to ask you to recognize a special student, Alex Shen, a Palo Verde student, for, come on up, Alex, you're not getting away with it, for scoring a perfect score of 2,400 on his SAT. Now, I'd also like to recognize the principal from Palo Verde, Principal Phillips. Thank you for coming today. I'm almost done, but listen to this. I understand, Alex, that you have a 4.8 grade point average? How do you do 4.8, Councilman? You just do real well, I guess. Is that what it is? You're also on the varsity golf team, is that right? What's your handicap? About 10. Are you available for lessons for Councilman Anthony? Take it from me. Okay, I'd like you to be presented with this certificate from the City of Las Vegas. This says that because of your perfect score of 2,400 on the SAT, that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Las Vegas congratulate you on your achievement and wish you the best in your bright future. I understand that you are the only student in the state to score a perfect 2,400, and you are a product of the public school system, that your top choice for college is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but you're also looking at Harvard, Stanford, and Princeton, and you're going to major in computer science. Is that right? Well, why don't you tell us what your plans are for the future?
Well, initially I wanted to do computer science, but I did have a talk with my parents, and I'm still going to pursue computer science, but as my major career path, I'm thinking about pursuing international affairs, actually. Maybe probably going to minor in computer science, and hopefully that skill will also serve me well.
What did you have to do to get a score of 2,400 on the SAT?
I had to study for a very, very long time.
All right, well, thanks so much. Let's give it up for Alex Shen.
Alex, I just sat next to somebody who was very smart when I took mine. Okay, the next item is one that's bittersweet as far as I'm concerned. We're saying farewell to a very special city employee, and I'm going to ask Margot Wheeler, who's our Director of Planning and Development, to please join us up here. Margot, let's give her a great round of applause. Margot has done an unbelievable job over the years managing the planning for the city, and she's always at the meetings and willing to work with the public and the developers and the council to resolve planning issues. And without her, we wouldn't have won these great prestigious awards, such as the John S. Park neighborhood being named one of the top 10 neighborhoods in the United States. And we are definitely going to miss her. She's my neighbor. We live in the same area, and she gets up early in the morning and walks her little puppy around the neighborhood and makes sure that everything is going well. She starts at home and then brings all of her talent and all of her interest and all of her expertise down to the city, and there's no challenge that has been too great for her, and really she has forged the way to make the city the great place to live in that it is today. So I have a proclamation for you. I'm not going to read it, not the whole thing. You're going to put it on your wall. She's going down to a horrible place, San Bernardino, and I don't know why she would ever leave us, other than the fact that they've offered her several $1 million to head up their office down there. But the main thing is this, that today, myself and all the members of the City Council hereby proudly proclaim December the 15th, 2010, to be Margot Wheeler Day in the city of Las Vegas, and we ask all of our citizens to acknowledge the wonderful work she's done, and we're going to miss her very, very much. Margot.
Thank you, sir. I utilized some recycled route slips to put down a few notes, but I promise I've waited 9 years, but I'm not going to take more than 3 minutes. To the mayor and council, you have given exuberant public leadership to change the face of this city by a force of will in times of boom and bust. It has been my extreme pleasure to have played a part in transforming the city of Las Vegas during the past decade, and I thank all of you for that opportunity. During my tenure, efficiency and excellence have been the twin pillars of planning and development while implementing the City Council goals and directives to serve our customers, all of those who live and work here. Your planning and development staff is a group of exceptional professionals. Their work to adopt and update all general plan elements, consolidate all of the projects and programs of the City Council into your capital improvement program, and initiate plans to create unique, complete, walkable communities throughout this city has led the city of Las Vegas into being recognized as a regional, state, and national leader in planning. Today on your agenda, we're going to introduce to the City Council the Unified Development Code, which is the product of over a year of work by city staff working with representatives of the private development community. It will bring together the zoning and subdivision codes and implement the best planning practices and principles of sustainable development to the city of Las Vegas. It is fully available online with integrated links for ease of use by all city staff, the ward offices, and the development community. This is precisely the type of project that's important during this period of downturn, to position this city to take advantage of all of the opportunities that will be coming forward in the future. This work has been done in-house by this staff, paying no outside consultants, even in these times of reduced staff, and with the participation of other departments, especially Public Works and IT. The city will truly benefit when the same approach is used to integrate licensing into the Unified Development Code and continue to move forward with innovative planning under Flynn's able leadership. I must also mention the outstanding work done by the City Council's appointed representatives on the Planning Commission and Historic Preservation Commission. The involvement of these exceptional and tireless advocates for the city have made and will continue to make this city its best. Their fingerprints are on our finest achievements. I have been privileged to work with these wonderful professionals on these commissions. Knowing them has enriched me, both personally and professionally. And many private parties, some of whom are here today, I have worked with over the years are outstanding pros who have also taught me a thing or two over the years. My personal thanks go again to my staff members and for all their fine work and fellowship, and to many colleagues here in the city who have held shared goals. I have loved every minute of my work, but also my great neighborhood, 1 mile from downtown, where I have lived all these years. It is an awesome area with mature trees, walkability, and great neighbors. It is a neighborhood of true, lasting value that the wonderful Ward 1 leadership has helped to maintain. Thank you, Councilwoman. And thanks to Christopher Wright, sitting over there, who has maintained our piece of the neighborhood and tried mightily to maintain my peace of mind throughout storms and gales with his calm, patience, and quiet wisdom. Thank you, Chris. My thanks to each council member for your support. Nothing can be achieved in this city without that gift from each of you. And here's the hard part, to the mayor. I love you, and you're the best. Thank you very much.
Don't forget your chocolate. You're the greatest. Margo. She's the best. She is the best. Okay. For our next item, we're going to have Councilman Anthony to remind us to be careful this holiday season and thank a group of folks working to keep our streets safe. Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to say good morning, but I think it's getting close to good afternoon. But I want to thank you all for sticking around for this because this is important. It's my honor to recognize National Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month. Every day, 36 people in the United States die and approximately 700 more are injured in motor vehicle crashes that involve a drunk or drug driver. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, about 3 in every 10 Americans will be involved in an alcohol-related crash at some point in their lives. In 2006, 13,470 people died in a drunk or drug driving crash, accounting for nearly 1/3 of all traffic-related deaths in the United States. In 1 year, over 1.4 million drivers were arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. This month, during National Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month, I want you to consider what you and your community can do to make injuries and deaths from impaired driving less of a threat. During the holiday season and year-round, I want everyone to make sure all of your guests leave with a sober driver. There are proven community and state-level methods for reducing drunk and drug driving, and I believe the methods fall into 3 categories. It's legislation, it's enforcement, and it's adjudication. At this point, I'd like to recognize several individuals for their efforts in each one of those categories. First, I'd like to recognize Sandy Heberly from Stop DUI. Could you come up here, Sandy, please? Since 1983, Sandy has been a staunch advocate for legislative changes like sobriety checkpoints, .08 alcohol content laws, and zero tolerance for young adults. Studies have found that fatal crashes thought to involve alcohol dropped by about 22% following implementation of sobriety checkpoints. Additionally, fatal alcohol-related crashes declined by 7% after .08 blood alcohol content laws were passed, and 3 studies found that zero tolerance laws resulted in declines in fatal crashes among drivers ages 18 to 20 between 9% and 24%. Therefore, on behalf of the mayor, the entire city council, I'd like to honor you by giving you a certificate of appreciation for everything you've done, Sandy.
Thank you so much, Councilman Anthony. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. You know, those statistics that you stated make our work even more important, and we're not going to give up. The good news is that DUI death and injuries are down. The bad news is that that is very little consolation to those who are still being victimized by people who choose to drive under the influence. And again, we want to encourage people to use a designated driver, to take a cab, take a bus, be responsible when you're hosting those holiday parties, and use our good mayor's example for a designated driver. He has been our greatest cheerleader in promoting that particular concept. So on behalf of Stop DUI and all of the thousands of innocent victims that I do represent that have become victims because of people being so careless and irresponsible, I thank you on behalf of our organization. Thank you, Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Sandy. Next, it's my honor to recognize the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Traffic Bureau Target DUI unit, and it's especially an honor for me because my first assignment as a captain with Metro was the Transportation Safety Bureau, and I got to work with some of the folks that are on that unit. So I'd like to invite Captain Richard Collins, who is the current captain of that bureau, up to the podium. Target DUI was formed in 1995. It stands for Target Accident Reduction Goal Enforcement Technique. It originally began with targeting vehicles of repeat offenders and entering them into a traffic bureau database system. It was comprised of one detective, one investigative specialist, and one administrative support personnel. With the growth of our city and an increase in DUI arrests and the expansion of target DUI duties, the detail expanded as well. Today, the unit is comprised of one sergeant, 3 detectives, one investigative specialist, an investigative aide, and 2 administration support personnel. The target unit's core responsibilities include conducting background investigations in DUI arrestees, preparing case submittals to the county and city attorneys, and acting as a liaison between the courts and LVMPD. They also provide training to new patrol officers coming out of the academy, and they implement new policies and procedures for the department. Additionally, the target unit provides educational awareness to the public and performs logistics and support functions in all the department's DUI checkpoints. Target DUI performs the logistic responsibilities associated with implementing sobriety checkpoints. Sobriety checkpoints are conducted at least once a month and quite a few more during the holiday weekends all around the LVMPD area commands on a rotational basis. On average, 15 to 25 impaired drivers are arrested in an 8-hour checkpoint, and an average of 4,700 vehicles go through a checkpoint. Target DUI investigates an average of 8,200 DUI arrests per year and affects 691 arrests per month. As a result of their efforts, there's been a 50% reduction in alcohol-related fatalities from 2009 to 2010. Therefore, on behalf of myself, the mayor, and the entire city council, it's my honor to give Captain Collins and the entire Target DUI unit a certificate of appreciation.
Are you going to bring everybody up?
I was just going to announce her now. Why don't you hold on a minute? Let me, before you say something, let me recognize, I just turned my page and saw what I was supposed to do. Let me recognize each member of the Target DUI unit, and if you could just stand where you're at and remain standing, we'll honor all of you. Lieutenant John Follis, I don't see him here. Sergeant David Gordon, Detective Tim Babcock, who was in the academy with me 30 years ago. Detective Carrie Farley, Detective Scott Lang, Detective Randy Stevenson, Investigative Assistant Heather Bauman, Investigative Aide Fred Gutierrez, Deborah DeLucchi, Bernadette Walks, and Geraldine Bowman. Thank you very much for everything you do to keep this community safe.
On behalf of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Traffic Bureau in particular, the Target DUI section, I want to thank the mayor and the city council for recognizing the men and women who behind the scenes every day are the ones who are out there trying to help you and your families to live a longer, happier life, to get rid of DUI impaired type drivers. Having said that, I'd like to continue with what Councilman Anthony had stated about our DUI checkpoints. We'll be doing another one this Saturday. This will make about the 26th DUI checkpoint we've done this year. We stated we've got over 8,000 DUIs and impaired drivers off the road. What we would ask for the citizens of the community is they can help us out. First, like Sandy Haverly said, that we want the people to do the designated driver bit. I mean, that helps everybody. Call a cab, call a bus. If you can't do that, then the citizens out there, if you see a drunk driver that's going curb to curb, call 911. That's an emergency. Let's get them off the road. If you see somebody drinking a beer, gets behind the wheel, call 311. Let us get out there. We have a Southern Nevada Traffic Task Force. The last one we put together, we did 4 DUI checkpoints in one night throughout the valley, and we got 54 drunks off the road that night. Coming New Year's Eve, the holiday seasons are upon us. Last year we did something we hadn't done before. We put our motorcycles out throughout the valley. We arrested 106 drunks in a 24-hour period. It is our belief that getting the drunks off the road will save money. It will save family woes. If the people just insist on driving, Metro will be more than happy to arrest you and take you to jail for it. So, again, we're on behalf of Las Vegas Metro. Thank you to the mayor and the city council, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Captain. Thank you very much. And the third leg of the stool, I'd like to recognize Municipal Court Chief Judge Elizabeth Kolkowski and Judge George Assad. Would you please come up here, both of you? Thank you. Recently, Chief Judge Kolkowski and Judge Assad were honored by Stop DUI as part of December's National Drunk and Drug Driving Awareness Month. Each judge was presented with a Caring Enough to Make a Difference award by Stop DUI. They were honored for their efforts and supported legislation to improve the DUI laws. Judge Kolkowski also was honored for her work with DUI Court, where defendants complete a rigorous program of recovery from alcohol and drug abuse. The city's DUI Court was launched in May of 2006 and utilizes alternative sentencing to work toward the goal of reducing DUI recidivism. The DUI educational classes teach offenders to be accountable for their action, discuss DUI laws, and provide offenders with information and statistics about the effects of intoxicants on a person's ability to drive. Judge Assad was honored for creating the first drug court program for the Las Vegas Municipal Court. The city's Kids in Court drug program was designed to help high school students stay away from drugs and stay in school. These programs help participants make better decisions about alcohol and drug involvement in order to achieve alcohol and chemical-free lifestyles. Therefore, on behalf of myself, the mayor, and entire city council, I'd like to give a certificate of appreciation for both of these honorable judges and thank them for what they've done.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Anthony. I appreciate you shining a spotlight on the serious problem of driving drunk, whether it's alcohol or drugs. I want to thank the mayor and the city council because for the almost 11 years, well, over 11 years I've been here, you have given us strong support for these specialty courts that are so important. And I want to also acknowledge that Councilman Wolfman has a program that we use in all 6 courts that concerns driving drunk. It's a Cornerstone Visitation Program. Coroner's Visitation Program, that's correct. So that's pretty much everything I have to say. I did want to underscore, we don't just educate them, we put them in jail when they lapse. We make them do house arrest for 3 months. They do counseling for a year, and they're tested every day they're in that program until they graduate. Today we're graduating 6 people out of that program. 80 people are in our DUI court. And I suspect you want Judge Assad to say a word.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Goodman and the City Council for giving me this opportunity. The recognition is wonderful, but the real recognition goes to Sandy. Sandy, people don't know it, but she lost her whole family just about from a drunk driver. And that's why she works so tirelessly, and day in and day out, her mission is to save lives. And that's why she really deserves all the praise and credit. The men and women of Metro do an outstanding job of protecting our community. I lost a very dear friend at the age of 17 from a drunk driver. So when it hits home like that, you have a very special awareness of the devastation that it can cause to families and loved ones. I'd like to thank Councilman Wolfson for his program that really helps a lot. The DUI Coroners Program, it does a great service, and we especially use it with a lot of young kids to try to teach them about the dangers of driving under the influence of marijuana. Legalization of marijuana is just a stepping stone to marijuana driving. I don't know how you could ever control it, how you could ever manage it. Proponents of it really should come to our court one morning or one afternoon and see the number of cases we have with people that get arrested for driving under the influence of marijuana. And that's in part to the great job that Metro is doing. They have drug recognition experts now that are able to detect not only someone driving with alcohol, but with marijuana or hydrocodone, other legalized drugs. They're abusing those drugs as well. It's a serious problem. The numbers that Councilman Anthony related to you this morning are staggering on a nationwide basis. Locally, municipal court handles about in excess of 5,000 DUI cases. The county handles about 5,000 to 10,000. That's a lot, but you have to understand that every time they arrest somebody, they've been driving drunk or under the influence of drugs more than 20 to 50 times, according to NHTSA. So it's a serious problem out there, and we need to continue the fight. There are problems right now in the system. People are getting arrested for their second DUI before the lab results come back on the first blood test, and sometimes even a third. So we need to try to work on that, get them off the road, get them rehabilitated before they get their second or third DUI and injure or kill somebody. I'd like to make a special recognition and thanks to Councilman Anthony for making this presentation to us today. And be safe out there this holiday season. Merry Christmas to one and all. Happy holidays. Thank you very much.
It took a half an hour. Jesus.
Thank you. That's it. Okay, very good. Boy. Great. I need a grid. Right. The solution. Right. Of course you do. Of course, but I didn't want this to become a forum. I did the right thing. Believe me, I did the right thing. I know. I know that. I just said I did the right thing. It was right off the bat that the speeches were going to start. I want to thank everybody for their patience. It's been an interesting morning because we've done things a little differently than we have in the past and have inconvenienced a lot of folks, so accept our apologies for that. All right. We'll call item number 11. Any items from the morning session that the council, staff, and/or the applicant wish to be stricken or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have item... Sorry. Thank you, sir. We have item number 28, extension of temporary tavern license for change of ownership and change of business name from Meadowbrook Mountain Spa LLC, doing business at Silverstone Golf Club, to SPEMD Holdings LLC, doing business at Silverstone Golf Club, 8600 Cup Drive. Staff's asked to strike. Item 58 is R75 2010. Staff's asked that to be held in advance until our January the 5th, 2011 meeting. Bill number 2010-31, staff asked that to be stricken or be held in advance until our February the 2nd, 2011 meeting. And item number 63, bill number 2010-47, staff asked that to be held in advance until our January the 5th, 2011 meeting. At this time, are there any other items to bring forward? Hearing none, Your Honor, make a motion to bring these four items forward and take the appropriate action, please.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ain't that something?
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 12, approval of the final minutes by reference of the regular City Council meeting of November 17th, 2010. May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes?
Yes, Your Honor, no additions or deletions. Make a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Items 13 through 48, with the exception of item number 28, are on the consent agenda. They're considered to be routine. They're recommended for approval by the departments and may be enacted in one motion. Are there any items that the council wishes to bring forward at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to bring item number 43 forward, please.
43, very good. Any others?
Yes, Mayor. Item number 19.
Thank you. Are there any others? All right, with that understanding, Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Honor, make a motion to approve items 13 through 48 with the exceptions of 19, 28, and 43 with all conditions, please.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll call number 19. Number 19 is approval of a new beer wine cooler on-sale license for Michael Nia, 168 LLC, doing business as Bangkok 9 at 3175 North Rainbow Boulevard, and this is in Ward 5.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I would like for this to just be carried over after the next item.
Oh, after item 43?
Yes.
All right. We'll go to item 43. Item 43 is approval to accept a $132,000 donation from Zappos, Inc. to the City of Las Vegas to fund the Corporate Challenge sporting event for 2011. This pertains to all wards, of course.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Lonnie Zimmerman, Deputy Director of Neighborhood and Leisure
Good morning.
Services. I want to take the opportunity to introduce Rob Schiefker. He's the Director of Consumer Loyalty for Zappos.
All right, that's terrific.
Good morning, Mayor, Council.
Good
I just wanted to say when Zappos found out that the Corporate Challenge was going to be canceled for 2011, that was a pretty sad day that we heard that news, and immediately we put into motion communication with Lonnie and his team to figure out a way that we could donate the money for the Corporate Challenge for 2011. So it's just an exciting event for our company, for our culture, but also for companies that work in Las Vegas to interact and connect with each other. So thank you very much.
Well, it's nice having you around, okay? And we really appreciate that. It's very, very decent, and it's a wonderful gesture, and I mean, what a great way to get off this partnership between the city and Zappos with your supporting this event. We thank you very, very much. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Honor, I move to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 19, approval of a new beer wine cooler on-sale license for Michael Nia, 168 LLC, doing business as Bangkok 9 at 3175 North Rainbow Boulevard in Ward 5. Councilor Barlow?
Yes, Mayor. Someone had a question in regards to number 19 as it relates to an issue. I need to get it worked out. If we can just basically carry this just a couple more items and let me figure out the answer to this question before I vote.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
Very good. We'll be happy to do that. We'll go into administrative. Item number 49, which we've already had, of course. We're not going to hear from the speaker again for a while. Item 50 is report on proposed repository for high-level nuclear waste at Yucca Mountain from Bruce Breslow, the Executive Director for the Nevada Agency for Nuclear Projects, and Irene Davis from the Clark County Office of Emergency Management. Folks, I know you're going to make this very brief.
Greetings. Mayor Goodman, members of the council, my name is Bruce Breslow. I'm the Executive Director for the Agency for Nuclear Projects for the state of Nevada. I'd like to acknowledge two of my commissioners in the audience, or one in the audience, Paul Workman, who has come to the meeting, and
welcome.
Councilwoman Tarkanian, who also sits on the commission.
And Councilwoman is always welcome.
I flew down here this morning. I had comments that were prepared last Thursday. All of them I could throw in the garbage now because quite a bit has changed since Thursday. So I'll be brief and I'll give you an update.
Good.
The Yucca Mountain license is very much active and in play at this moment. Several months ago, the Yucca Mountain, the federal licensing board that was doing the hearing, ruled that the Department of Energy could not withdraw its license, which they had moved to do. The Department of Energy and the state of Nevada appealed that to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. The commissioners have voted, but for some reason they're not releasing their vote. We assume that they do not have the votes to overturn the licensing board, in which case if it's a split vote that they're sitting on or if it's a negative vote, again, the license continues. At the same time, the federal courts ruled last week that parallel lawsuits in federal court could go forward to again determine whether the Department of Energy had the legal right to withdraw their license. Those are being spearheaded by South Carolina, the state of Washington, Aiken County, South Carolina, and some other parties. They're consolidated in the Fourth Circuit Court in Washington, D.C. Very expedited schedule. Our briefs have to be done by January 3rd. There will probably be oral arguments in February and a decision to follow on the federal side. So technically, we're still in licensing for Yucca Mountain. The administration has announced they don't want to do the project. Led by President Obama's announced he didn't want to do the project. Senator Reid is committed to do all he can on the Senate side. And I met with Governor-elect Sandoval and his team yesterday, and I bring with you their firm commitment to oppose high-level waste storage at Yucca Mountain as well. So that's a brief status report.
Well, I appreciate that. The only thing that's of some interest to me, all of it was, of course, you said the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Washington. The Washington Court of Appeals is independent. The Fourth Circuit is in the southern states. Do you have any idea where they?
DC Circuit. It's called the DC Circuit. You said Fourth.
It's the DC Circuit rather in Washington.
All right, fine.
Sorry.
All right, Ms. Davis.
Yes, very quickly. As Bruce said, the license application proceeding is moving forward. I think last year when we presented to you, I told you that 13 of 15 of our contentions were accepted into the process. We had one additional contention later approved, so we have 14 contentions in play. If we have to jump back full force into licensing, we will be addressing contentions related to long-term performance of the repository, and then later on in the process, if it continues, contentions related to compliance with NEPA and also public safety. We will probably have about 10 contentions in that first group of discovery and depositions if we have to switch gears. Because of that uncertainty, we have retained our entire consultant team so that we have the ability to respond to licensing issues as they arise. We'll be fully prepared to participate in licensing, but in the meantime, our consultants and our staff are working on a lessons learned and best practices project that we will share with all of our stakeholders and the public. Over this past year, we continue to work on impacts and the normal updates that we usually do, mostly because it helps our city partners and our law enforcement and fire departments understand what's going on in the public safety arena. That's where we focused our efforts this past year. We have maintained the Clark County Monitoring Program, which is our community indicators and our community survey that is valley-wide. We updated our public safety impact assessment, and we also updated our commodity flow studies for both rail and truck transport. We know that that helps with a certain city ordinance that you have in place that you must update certain information every year, so that commodity flow on hazardous materials is a helpful study, so we continued working on that, as well as a rail vulnerability assessment that was valley-wide as well. The lessons learned and best practices is going to be, as I said, a DVD and book project that we're working on. We have been presenting lessons learned at a number of national bodies. The Blue Ribbon Commission on America's Nuclear Future, which was formed by the President and the Secretary of Energy. We have provided testimony there, as well as the Nuclear Waste Technical Review Board, and most recently the International Atomic Energy Agency, a workshop on stakeholder relationships. All of these entities, because they are looking towards other solutions now beyond Yucca Mountain, are looking for what lessons they can learn for what went right and what went, of course, wrong in most cases with respect to the Yucca Mountain project, especially the relationships between the federal government, tribal governments, state, and local governments. So we're glad that they find us valuable in that respect. The areas of lessons learned that we're going to cover are communication, credibility of science, collaboration and inclusion in decisions, public input and addressing public concerns, knowledge retention and transfer, and developing and leaving behind tools, models, and techniques for impact assessment as well as other purposes. And that's our program for now, and if we have to switch gears, we're ready to do that. Thank you for your time and inviting us today.
Okay, and thank Mr. Breslow for coming down this morning. We appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, one final thing. Ultimately, it will be Congress, whether the license is in play on the courts or not, Congress, whether they fund the project or not, will make the ultimate decision. So we're working with them. We're also working with the Blue Ribbon Commission, which will release its draft report for alternatives for Yucca Mountain at the end of June.
We appreciate this information. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. We'll go on to item number 19. I believe Councilor Barlow has that under control.
Yes, Mayor.
Very good. 19, once again, is approval of a new beer wine cooler on sale license for Michael Nia 168 LLC, doing business as Bangkok 9 at 3175 North Rainbow Boulevard in Ward 5. Councilman.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to move for approval of this item subject to all conditions.
Very good. Let's vote on that, please. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Items 51, 52, 53, and 61. 51 is discussion and possible action regarding a consent to assignment of lease from CIM LL Manager LLC to CIM OG Las Vegas LLC for the lease between the City of Las Vegas and CIM LL Manager LLC for the parking garage at 333 East Ogden Avenue, totaling approximately 1.03 acres. 52 is discussion and possible action regarding a Fourth Amendment to lease between the City of Las Vegas and CIM OG Las Vegas LLG to amend the lease rate and provide a purchase option for the parking garage located at 333 East Ogden Avenue, totaling approximately 1.03 acres. 53 is discussion and possible action regarding an amended and restated disposition and development agreement between the City of Las Vegas and CIM POB Las Vegas LLC to lease and provide a purchase option for parcels at 4th Street and Stewart Avenue, totaling approximately 5.17 acres. 61 is R 78-2010, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution finding that the amended and restated disposition and development agreement between the City of Las Vegas and CIM POB Las Vegas LLC to lease and provide a purchase option for parcels at 4th Street and Stewart Avenue, totaling approximately 5.17 acres, and Fourth Amendment to lease agreement between the City of Las Vegas and CIM OG Las Vegas LLC to amend the lease rate and provide a purchase option for the parking garage at 333 East Ogden Avenue, totaling approximately 1.03 acres, are for purposes of economic development and in the best interest of the public. All of these items are in Ward 5. Mr. Arndt.
Thank you. For the record, Bill Arndt, Director, Office of Business Development. With me today is from the developer, Jeff Rosen, Principal at the CIM Group, as well as Jonathan Ulmer, the Chief Administrative Officer of the Mob Museum, and invited him to come today to really show you that this really is an exciting project, and it's a great partnership between the public sector and the private sector. Before I invite these gentlemen to speak, I'm going to give a PowerPoint presentation. I'd ask for your indulgence because I'm going to try to establish a clear record of what we're doing here. It's really three projects in one. and want to focus on both the private investment from our development partner as well as the job impact of the project. As you know, CIM Group, they're focused on urban real estate, founded in 1994. When we introduced them to you a few years ago, we talked about their investments in other western cities. And one of the reasons why that the partnership between the city and CIM made sense is their expertise in urban retail or street retail. Resort Gaming Group is the management development company for the Lady Luck. It was founded in 2002, and they also have expertise in food and beverage. So it was really a marriage between two good partners. CIM Group, we showed this to you back in 2008. They have a lot of projects around the country, including 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, and again, emphasis on street retail. As I mentioned, it's really 3 projects in one. If you look at the partnership with CIM and the projects that are moving forward, the first project is the Lady Luck itself. It's been closed, as you know, since 2006, and requires a lot of private capital to renovate the property and bring it up to a standard that can be competitive in the marketplace. And I think it's important to emphasize that our private development partner is investing in the property without help from the city. There's no public funding being offered for the property. Second, we have a garage owned by the city, the Ogden Garage, and that is a garage that has been used historically by the property, and it's an older garage, and it's in need of repair. And so we're looking to enable the developer to fund anticipated repairs to enhance the garage. And again, it's private capital, not public capital, that's going into repairing the garage. And third and finally, the post office block, referred to in the agreements as the E&A site. This involves a partnership where the developer is going to be leasing and developing the E&A site or the post office block for new street retail. Again, where the developer has expertise and what also can benefit the city's investments in the area, including the Mom Museum. Important to emphasize that the incentive that we're offering here for this final project, the retail piece, is the Tourism Improvement District financing. We're not offering financing or funding from the redevelopment agency, and so any questions about what incentive is being used to fund this project, it's a single incentive. The Tourism Improvement District, whereas you'll see later, is really a back-end incentive, which we think for the public benefit is the best kind of incentive because you make sure that you get performance on the front end. The site, as I mentioned, the Lady Luck site, you see it there on the screen in blue. That's the first project that I mentioned, and it's owned by the developer. The second site that I mentioned, the Ogden Garage, you see there on the bottom of the slide, or the aerial photo in blue. And then the third site is really the sites that are owned by the city. You see Stewart Avenue, of course, it's public right-of-way. We own that, and we're putting some capital dollars into the improvements on Stewart, as you know. We also have the post office block itself, which we acquired from the GSA, and because of that, there are deed restrictions for the historic post office. You see the post office or the museum site highlighted there in yellow, and then the site marked DTC, of course, was up until recently our downtown transportation center for the region operated by RTC. So that third project, the post office block, what is the project and what are the terms? The city will be ground leasing this block to the developer. Ground leases are a common tool that we use in economic development to stimulate private investment. We're abating the ground rent for the first 5 years, years 1 through 5. Years 6 through 10, we're charging, it's more of a market approach where we're charging ground rent annually, $350,000 per year, and then a 10% escalator for each successive period thereafter. Before the ground lease is executed, the project basically has to be construction ready, which means that the developer is going to be responsible for securing entitlements, building permits, and construction financing. This ground lease is a 45-year term, and then the developer may have one second 45-year term extension. The terms on that second extension change to an appraised value approach. And also with the ground lease, we're offering the developer a purchase option, again, because the developer is putting private capital into the development. We wanted to give the developer an opportunity to to both not only operate but also own the real estate long term, and that purchase option is set at 10 times annual rent. As part of the items that are before you today, the last item that the mayor read into the record is for justifying a sale below the highest of two appraisals, which is a requirement that we have for any economic development transaction or redevelopment transaction. The numbers that you see highlighted in bold are just that, the higher of the two appraised values. One note on the appraisals that you'll see on this slide and the upcoming slide is that appraised value right now in the marketplace is very difficult. As you know, values have taken a big market correction, and there are not a lot of comparative market sales, which is one of the most important tools for an appraiser to use to determine value. So opinions of value, they're just that, opinions of value, but we did follow the process required by state law, and those are the two high appraised values. Development terms for the post office block, it's really a retail project with potential expansion. The first phase, or phase one, is 80,000 square feet of retail with 15,000 square feet of meeting space, and that will be used to support the museum. Construction must start no later than September of 2014, although the developer intends to start much earlier than that. The second phase is potential for 330,000 square feet of mixed-use development, which would feature additional retail as well as potential hotel development, and that's consistent with the original scope that we brought forward to you in 2008. Again, the meeting space will support the museum. The developer is going to accommodate the museum's needs for getting in and out of the building, both for customers but also the exhibits. As an active museum, the exhibitry is going to change out quite frequently, and the project will accommodate that. And then finally, the private development will be financed privately. We are offering those tourism improvement district proceeds, but we're not actually going to bond those until such time as the project is actually near completion. For instance, when the project has a temporary certificate of occupancy, at that time we know the project's built, we know how much retail space is going to be there, we'll have a better projection of sales tax revenue, and those tourism improvement district proceeds or a portion of the sales tax, we'll know exactly what revenue we expect to come in from the storefronts, and then we'll be able to bond those at that time. The Tourism Improvement District, as I mentioned, we've already received approval of it, and it really focuses on the entire site, which includes the museum. This is a diagram showing what the developer intends to build. The pale yellow, I don't know if you can make out that color on the screen, shows the museum site itself. One of the challenges to this site is there's not a lot of raw land available for development. We heard about the Tivoli Village out in the western part of the city this morning. This isn't really the same kind of site. It's challenged where there's not a lot of ingress and egress off the street. Really what the developer can build for retail is shown there in blue. This is a conceptual elevation. You will get a full crack at this when it goes through Planning Commission and City Council, but this shows a conceptual elevation for the south elevation where you see the museum there kind of blanked out in a pale white, and then the surrounding retail development, which we think will be an attractive enhancement to the block and support the efforts of the museum. The garage lease, that's another component of the project. The existing lease we have is 48 years, and we have a monthly rent set. In today's market, we believe that that not only is market, but maybe over market. And so as a consideration of the investment that the developer is putting into the hotel, we're going to make a concession whereby we're going to waive rent while they're under construction on the hotel and then start charging rent at a modified rent set at either the higher of appraised value or $250,000 per year. And what that'll do is it'll enable the developer to move forward with the Lady Luck renovation. Similar to the ground lease for the land on the other side of Stewart, for the Ogden Garage, rent is going to increase 10% for each successive 10-year period thereafter, so there is an escalator. And the developer also has a purchase option, also set at 10 times rent. The Ogden Garage is an older garage, and it requires capital investment to upgrade it to a condition that would be an amenity for the developer. And because of that, the purchase price, if the developer elects to exercise the purchase option, will be offset by the capital improvements made by the developer. Those improvements have to be mutually agreed upon, and up to $2.5 million of private investment, not city investment, private investment, that will offset the purchase price. This also is required to follow an appraisal process pursuant to state law, AB 312, or also it's known as NRS 268. You see the two market values in bold, both on the fee interest in the garage as well as a fair market rent, or in other words, what rent would we charge. I think what's interesting here is that both appraisals are at or less than the existing rent, and one of the appraisers estimate of fair market rent is almost dead on with the rent that we came up with, the $250,000. So we think that we're getting near full value once that market rent resets. And again, it's also tied to a future appraised value. So why are we doing this? It's really for jobs and taxes. As I said this morning, every transaction that we bring before you is for that twofold reason. On the jobs end, we're getting 750 full-time jobs upon the reopening of the Lady Luck. I should mention that they are going through a branding exercise, and they will be changing the name of the property, but just for the interest of simplicity, we're referring to it as the Lady Luck in this presentation. The 750 jobs is an incredible thing for downtown in this economy, and will be a great asset for downtown, we believe, for the long run. The developer is also moving forward with a significant capital investment, estimated at $120 million for the renovation. This meets the spirit of the original agreement, which we took before you in 2008, where they had to make a threshold investment in the property. The renovation itself will yield 488 construction jobs. The retail project, the first phase, 158 construction jobs and 200 permanent jobs. And then the latter phase would provide 407 construction jobs and 695 permanent jobs. Again, that latter phase, the mixed-use development. This is just some slides showing the economic impact. Not only is the direct impact important, but the spending impact is important. We have an internal model that is an in-plan model, which a lot of economists use to show the spending impact of a project. And so we've done this both for the hotel casino as well as for the new retail project. And you see the impact here with the income from the labor employed for construction, $54 million, and over 900 jobs from that supply chain effect, as well as vendors working on the project. And then the operations impact, and really the most important thing, 750 direct jobs, but then there's also indirect and induced jobs. Indirect meaning jobs that are involved with the supply chain of running this property, induced from jobs from additional spending in the area. And then you can see the job impact and the tremendous benefit it has on the local economy. The retail project itself has a similar impact. Sometimes we tend to forget that our storefronts provide a lot of jobs for the community. 158 jobs when this retail project, along with the meeting space, is built. You see the indirect and the induced impact, and both the impact both from the labor as well as the output or the spending. Just from the retail project alone, $46 million in local spending. And the operations impact from the retail project as well. The operations impact, I need to correct myself from the prior slide, that was the construction impact. The permanent employment, we're looking at 200 jobs for the retail just directly on the property itself. And then you see the spending impact from the employees as well as from the total project. So to conclude, why is this important? It's critical to our investment efforts for redevelopment and for economic development, because we need our private partners, and our private partners stepping up. It's a significant job impact both in the short run and the long run. Most importantly, and if you take away anything from this other than the jobs and the private investment, is from a public-private perspective, we have shifted risk to where we believe it belongs, which is on the private end. The developer's carrying the risk for the investment in the hotel casino. The developer's carrying the risk for additional investment in the garage, and the developer's carrying the development risk and the financing risk for the post office block. We are offering the incentive of the Tourism Improvement District proceeds, that future sales tax revenue, but the developer is carrying that risk. They're going to have to finance the project up front. They're going to have to build it. Just to summarize with the actions today, and also need to read one change into the record, the item 51 approves a entity change for the lease for the Ogden Garage. It's the same management, but it's a different ownership entity. The Fourth Amendment for the Ogden Garage lease modifies the garage lease terms as I outlined. Item 53 approves an amended and restated disposition and development agreement. This supersedes the 2008 agreement and provides both for new lease and purchase terms for the E&A site, as well as revising the schedule and scope of development. And then finally, item 61 approves the sale resolutions for selling, leasing or selling at or below the higher of the two appraisals, as I outlined in the presentation. I do have something to enter into the record. There is one small change in the disclosure of principles, which is for item 52 listed as backup documentation, and for item 53 is listed as Exhibit D. And I'll enter that now into the record and have copies for the mayor and the council as well. And with that, I'll open up to other questions and also invite the developer as well as Mr. Ulmer to say a few words.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. I forgot your name. You took so long. Unbelievable. I mean, it's chock full of information, but I'm going to have you and Mr. Vincent undergo an elocution course or something like that. You've got to speed the two of you up. I really do. Councilman Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rutt, those previous slides with the numbers on the financial impact statements and the jobs, what's the total of all those jobs? Did you add them all up?
We can do that.
Well, I ask you that because my next question is, were these jobs included in the fiscal report for the redevelopment agency? Or are these new jobs, additional jobs?
That's a good question. Let me answer each question separately. The total impact from both the hotel casino as well as the retail, just direct jobs physically on site, 950 jobs. The rest of the impact we showed is from the additional spending and the suppliers, the vendors that are working together with those projects. So just direct on site, 950 jobs, permanent jobs. The construction jobs, it's even a higher number. Construction for the Lady Luck, 489, and then for the retail is 158. So that you're looking at over 700 jobs, construction jobs from both projects. It was not showed in the report this morning because that was the fiscal year that ended in June. So this is really our new work moving forward. We're always looking forward to new projects, so this will be in next year's annual report.
Well, and I'm glad I asked that question because it's not included in the 2010. It's going to be included in the 2011. But you said it when you got up to speak, jobs and taxes. When people are making money and have a job, they're paying their bills. And if they're paying their bills, they're spending money. And I think this is a long time coming, and I can't wait to see it happen. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rosen? Oh, okay, Councilman
Real
Rosen.
quickly, good presentation, Bill, and thank you, gentlemen, for coming. It really seems like 2012 is going to be an incredible breakout year. That's the year our Smith Center is going to come online, the new City Hall, Zappos, and I imagine you're going to tell me that this project will be done. I'm talking about the renovation of the Lady Luck and the live-work surrounding development in 2012?
On the post office block site, it's our expected opening would be in 2013 because there's still a process from a development standpoint to go through for entitlement.
What about the Lady Luck?
It's scheduled for 2012.
12. Okay, so I was half right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Donner is hiding behind two beautiful ladies. Did you want to say anything on behalf of Resort Gaming at this point?
You're asking, do I have the discretion? I would say no, I'm fine, thank you.
All right, very good, thank you. Just want to make sure that you're awake. All right. Okay, I thought that your hair's going to turn gray by the time Mr. Aaron finished. Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, Councilman Barlow, how about some motions?
Thank you, Mayor. this is exciting, and Councilman Wilson stated it best as far as the breakout year for 2012. I mean, this is going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to movement for CIM and Lady Luck as we move forward with all of the other multiple projects and developments that we have going on in the downtown community. So with that, what do they say, fast speed ahead, or move fast, swiftly. So my motion would be for approval, subject to all conditions, subject to all conditions.
All right, let's vote on item 51, please. Post? Yes. Motion carries. And 52, please.
My motion would be to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions.
Thank you. Please vote. Post? Motion carries. And 53, please.
My motion would be to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions.
Thanks. Please vote. Post? Motion carries. And finally, item 61.
Finally, item number 61, I would move to also follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions.
Thank you. Let's vote, please. Post? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck
Good luck
to
to
you
you.
all. Okay, I think our next item is 57. Is that correct? 54? Item 54 is discussion and possible action on the City of Las Vegas Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the CAFR, for fiscal year ending June 30, 2010. Ms. Falder.
Good morning again. I'm not Mark Vincent, so I will be very brief in this presentation.
Let's hear you. You know, we don't hear
I will be very
Mr.
brief
Vincent.
and exuberant in my presentation this morning.
No, please do, because Mr. Vincent mumbles and swallows.
It's part of the financial thing, I think.
Oh, okay.
You know, they lock us in a room, and we tend to get that way. Candace Falder, Deputy Director of Finance. This morning I gave you the presentation on the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the RDA. This will be the CAFR for the City of Las Vegas. Again, we engaged Kafori Armstrong and Company to do this year's engagement. It's required by NRS 354 that we have an annual audit by an independent accounting and auditing firm each year. This audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards. It included comments on compliance with statutes and regulations, recommendations for improvement, and any other comments deemed pertinent by our auditors. Kafori issued an unqualified opinion. They found no instances of material noncompliance that required reporting under GASB, the Nevada Revised Statutes, or the U.S. Office of Management and Budget Circular A31 that governs our single audit provisions. The audit did uncover this year 2 instances where Kafori believed we needed to enhance some year-end closing procedures. The city has reviewed them and we agreed with them. One instance was our identification process for invoices we received post-close of June 30th. For services and goods we received prior to year-end. We will now perform an extra cursory review prior to Kafori completing their audit engagement. The second related to categorization of restricted and non-restricted net assets under GASB 34. These have been included in the final report that you have before you. Before I go any further, the final report this year has the Performing Arts Center construction on the front. It is available to our constituents on the financial webpage on the internet as a PDF. Some of the few highlights are cash and cash equivalents. This pie chart illustrates what we currently, or what we had on hand, excuse me, at June 30th, 2010. While it may look like a lot of cash and investments sitting on the books, it is across the city, and the reality is most of it is restricted. The pie that is exploded here is the general fund. It had $50 million at June 30th in cash and cash equivalents. This is money that is sitting there that will fund our ongoing and planned operations. It's not just idle cash. It's what the City Council has planned as we move forward into the fiscal year we're currently in. As you can see, the general fund only represents 6% of the total. 48% of the cash and cash equivalents sits in the green area of the pie for capital projects. Those are projects that are currently underway, they're under construction, or they're planned, that this council has already authorized. Governmental fund balances. This pie shows, this pie illustrates what we had in the fund balances at June 30th, 2010. The general fund had a $73 million fund balance, and the large section of the pie, the $496 million, was reserved or designated. Those are primarily the proprietary funds and the capital project funds. The final CAFR highlights for the general fund is comparison of 2009 and 2010. And you can see in each of the categories we have declined in what we have taken in and what we have expended. In the general fund this year, we had originally budgeted $465 million in revenue. We actually took in $12 million than what we originally planned. On expenditures, we originally planned expending $485 million, but we cut those expenditures knowing that our revenue was coming in shorter than what we had planned. We cut that expenditure level by $12 million, leaving a fund balance of $74.8 million at June 30th. We had initially only planned $45 million fund balance, but because we took action to cut our expenditures when our revenue was in a declining situation, we actually ended the year with $28 million more than we had planned. That we've brought to you in the last 6 months as we're planning ahead for fiscal year 12. That's part of what the resources we're going to use to bridge some of that gap. That concludes my presentation of this year's CAFR. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions of Ms. Falder or any comments? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Honor, move to accept the report, please.
Thank you. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 55 is discussion and possible action regarding a 3-month review of a tavern license, the Red Label Bar, Inc., doing business as Red Label Bar and Lounge at 332 West Sahara Avenue in Ward 3. Ms. Meyer?
Mayor, members of council, I'm not Mark Vincent either. I talk very fast. I'll just wait for the applicants. This item in front of you today for the 3-month review, the Red Label Bar and Tavern was approved for a permanent license at the September 15th meeting with 7 conditions on their license, and I'd like to read them in the record if I could. Condition number 1 was entertainment allowed will include karaoke, comedy, live bands, birthday, weddings, and wedding receptions. Condition number 2, entertainment will be limited from 6 p.m. until 4 a.m. for ages 21 and over. After 4 a.m., entertainment can be a DJ or a jukebox. Condition number 3, entertainment for the week will be submitted to business services each Monday for review and approval. Condition number 4, no outdoor events will be allowed. Condition number 5, DJ must be an employee of the Red Label Bar and Lounge. No outside DJs or promoters will be allowed. Condition number 6, the manager or designee may immediately suspend the entertainment venue if a violation of the conditions are found pending a review of the tavern license at the next available City Council meeting. And condition number 7 is a 3-month review. We ran calls for service, and there haven't been a significant number of calls for service for the last 3 months. So I will turn it over if you have any questions for me or if you have any questions for the applicants.
If I could.
Sure.
What's going to be your recommendation?
My recommendation would be they already have a permanent license, perhaps remove condition
My only concern is, I don't want to see any outside
events.
events, yeah. With that, I would forego the 3-month reviews.
Okay.
Is that agreeable, folks?
We're in agreement.
All right, fine. Would you like to be heard? Please identify yourself if you would.
Yes.
Yes.
Attorney Lance Hendren. Actually, my clients here are Nellie and Boris Petkov. Ms. Petkova will speak maybe briefly about how business is going.
Good. Like to hear that.
Thank you, Mayor. So the business is not that good, so everybody knows that's the small business is like a roller coaster, up and down, and most of the time it's down. So hopefully, we'll be better.
They do have some lively events. It's an excellent establishment to go down to visit. So if any of you do have the opportunity to go down, they certainly would welcome that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you have the designated driver after I leave.
I'm there for you, Mayor. I'll be the
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I would just like to change that one condition where there will be no further reviews.
Okay.
And that they would still have no outside events.
Okay.
With that, that's my motion.
Very good. Let's vote, please.
Thank you very much.
Host? Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday.
You too, of course. Item 56 is discussion and possible action regarding a 6-month review of a temporary beer wine cooler on sale license for Mieko Enterprise doing business at Sushi Bar Sage at 4408 North Rancho Drive in Ward 6. Mr. DiFiore, are the licensees present?
Yes, they are.
Okay, if they'd be kind enough to come up.
Before you go over the freeway, by the Golden Store.
Okay. Take your time, take your time. Okay, Mr. DiFiore?
Mayor, members of the council, the reason we are here is because of the original investigation by Metro resulted in some concerns on the financial package as well as inconsistencies in our application. We asked for a 6-month review 6 months ago, and I want to just report today that over the last 6 months there have been just minor violations which have been corrected, and we were out there again yesterday afternoon. All of the business licensing requirements are in compliance. Today is the last day of the last temporary license that can be considered. We're seeking recommendation for the business to have a permanent license, and that would be my recommendation today.
Okay, are you Ms. Yaguchi?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to be heard?
Well, I really appreciate your consideration and your support. If I can get that permanent license, I'll be so happy, and I try my best to pursue my business and to serve good sushi for everybody. By the way, this is my work uniform. I always go to my store 365 days a night, every day, to do my best to appreciate my customer and employees and everything. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's very nice. Thank you. All right, are there any questions of Mr. DiFiore or Mr. Yaguchi? Hearing none, Councilman Ross.
Ma'am, you go to work every day of the year?
Yes.
Don't you think you need a day off sometimes?
Yes, I'd like to, but so yes, but I'll try.
You know, you're an example to business owners throughout the city of Las Vegas. You're dedicated, you're hardworking, and you look very nice today.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to move to follow staff's recommendation for your permanent license, and I will be over soon to see you and have some of that sushi.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Very good. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, all the councilmen. Thank you.
Item 57 is a public hearing and possible action regarding an update to the traffic signal impact fee program, the land use assumptions for traffic signal impact fees report, and the capital improvements plan for traffic signal impact fees report. This is a public hearing which is now declared open. Mr. Cervantes.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Jorge Cervantes.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Jorge Cervantes, Department of Public Works. This is a public hearing for the Traffic Signal Impact Fee Program. This program was adopted in 2003, and the Nevada Revised Statute requires that every 3 years we update both the land use assumptions and the capital plan. The last update was done in 2006. There are 2 changes that are being done to the program under this update. The first change is to adjust the construction cost for the traffic signals. This is impacting the rate that will be charged. The rate increase will be on an average about 5%. There's been a significant increase in the cost of construction of signals since 2003 when established, but it's only a 5% increase in the rate. The second change is in the service area. Under the current program, there is 1 citywide service area. This is being changed to 3 service area, and this is to be in compliance with changes that were done in the 2007 legislative session that required multiple changes. The item was heard at the October 28th Capital Improvement Advisory Committee meeting, and they made a recommendation for approval, and that is my presentation, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions of Mr. Cervantes? It's a public hearing, folks, if anyone would like to be heard.
I know you're in a bad mood, so I'm going to make it quick. My question is since for the impact and the cost of putting in the lights is going up, with times being so tough, are these lights being put in by the private contractors? The installation of the signal lights? Mayor?
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
No, I didn't answer your question. I said Mr. Cervantes may.
Oh, yes,
okay.
Certainly sometimes they are. If there is traffic signal, they're developing a private driveway as a commercial, then that is put in by the developer. When the developer comes in and does his infrastructure improvements, part of the improvements, he'll put in the underground infrastructure and some of the poles. So some of the cost is being burned by the development community.
All right, but the actual light, the light itself is done by the city?
The city does the finishing off, will do the mast arm and the signal heads, but the pole and foundation and underground has been done by the developer.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Anybody else like to be heard at the public hearing? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Have a motion, please.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to follow staff recommendation for approval of this item.
Thank you. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you for the report. Item 59 is R76-2010, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution consenting to the undertakings of the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency in connection with the Commercial Visual Improvement Program, agreement between the RDA and Neoluke LLC, located at 1100 East Sahara Avenue, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the RDA. This is in Ward 3, and this item is related to the RDA item this morning, item number 6.
I'll move for approval, Your Honor. How was that?
I like it myself. Mr. Arndt, do you object?
No, Your Honor. We recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Let's vote, please.
I move to follow the planning, staff's recommendation as well as the RDA's recommendation for approval of this item with all conditions.
Right. Yeah, you had nothing to add to it than your presentation this morning, did you?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. Let's vote, please. Post.
Thanks, Bill.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 60 is R77-2010, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution consenting to the undertakings of the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency in connection with the Commercial Visual Improvement Program agreement between the RDA and CMS Nevada LLC and S&F Genesee LLC and Artifice LLC located at 1025 South First Street to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the RDA. This is in Ward 3, and this item is related to the RDA item of this morning, item number 7. Mr. Arndt, anything to add?
Staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move to follow staff's recommendation for approval as well as the RDA's recommendation for approval of this item, please.
Thank you. Let's vote, please. Post. Motion carries. So thank you for all your hard work this morning. Let's see. 58 is R75-2010, discussion and possible action.
That's been held.
58's been held too? Yes. I missed that. Thank you. Item 64 will be trailed to be heard after item 72 in the afternoon session. Item 65 is bill number 2010-50. This allows, under limited circumstances, the expansion, enlargement, or alteration of certain non-conforming sexually oriented businesses located within the downtown Centennial Plan area. Councilor Ross, do you wish to have the bill read?
Please, Your Honor.
Thank
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Your Honor. Bill number 2010-50, an ordinance to allow under limited circumstances the expansion, enlargement, or alteration of certain non-conforming sexually oriented businesses located in the downtown Centennial Plan area and provide for related matters.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to say a word about 65.
Sure. You have to identify yourself for the record, please.
June Ingram, Charleston Neighborhood Preservation.
Very good.
We ask you to please vote no on expanding the okay, got lost it here. The sexually oriented businesses. We think there's enough there, and our city has enough trash already. We have people coming here from all over the world, as you know, and I think that we can get by fine without those expanded. So we ask that you vote with them expanded.
You know, if I can, please.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ingram, we're not, and I sat down and I explained to your cohort out there for about a half hour, we're not expanding anything. There is one sexually oriented business in my ward that wants to tear it down and build a new one. And they do have it's a non-conforming use. They're going to have to use the same piece of land they're using right now. They can't expand it. They got to use the same stamp where they're at. They can't expand anything. They can't ask for any variances. And all we're doing is allowing them to bring forward some possible changes in the location. That doesn't mean that the City Council and or the Planning Commission has to approve it. All we're doing is allowing them to come forward and see if they want to spend money and create jobs. We're not expanding. We're not allowing somebody else to come in and build these type of businesses. We're allowing people like this to expand their businesses if they want.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Reese, if I could ask a
Yes,
question.
Councilman.
On this, then, you're assuring her that we're not expanding the sexual entities. You're taking an entity, a single entity in your ward?
The Olympic Gardens wants to tear down their building and build a new building, and they have to use the same plot of land they're using today. They can't expand the square footage this way. They can come in and maybe go up 2 or 3 stories, but they had to come before the City Council to do that. All we're doing is allowing them to bring forward these plans in the future. If we want to approve them, we can. We don't have to, though. There's not any other businesses that would be able to. There's one other business, but again, with this change, you can't ask for any variances. So if there's a business right now doing business, then if they want to tear down their building and go up, they can't ask for any variances. It's just like with the OG. They can't ask for any variances. They got plenty of parking. All they want to do is tear down their building and build a new building on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Okay, but I think the confusion lies in the fact that it says the expansion, enlargement. It doesn't just say alteration.
Up.
So up.
Not out. Up.
They can go up or they cannot go up.
They can go up if we approve it. All we're doing, we don't have any plans in front of us here today. Okay? They have to bring the plans back to us. And if we feel like we want to approve that, then we can. We had neighborhood meetings. I had Mr. Brown work with Chris Giunciliani from the county. We met with the neighborhood associations over there, and you don't see them here today. They realize and understand all we're doing is allowing the OG to maybe build a new building and make the strip look better, or make the Las Vegas Boulevard look better. And I don't know whether I'll approve what they want to do until I see it.
This allows them to go ahead then with coming to us and requesting it.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean they get it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Very good. Councilman Ross, do you have a motion?
I do, Your Honor.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Yes, you may make a comment, certainly.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, prior to our conversation that we had, it did state there would be no expansion. And so then this one has come out today that there can be expansion. And so that was why we're still up here today.
Explain real quick. Want him to now?
Yeah. Councilman.
All right, Mr. Brown. Apparently,
Thank
there's a request for you to explain
Just real
exactly
quick, please.
what's going to happen.
Real quick, Jay Brown, 520 South 4th Street. As the councilman made really clear, the real estate footprint cannot be enlarged 1 inch. OG cannot buy neighboring property to expand 1 inch. What is currently adult use stays adult use. These buildings and structures are not going to go away. So all we're asking for, as the councilman accurately said, is an opportunity to present a plan to beautify the building that's going to be there this way if we don't beautify it. And hopefully, we'll get approval, but maybe, as the councilman said accurately. So all we want is the right to come and do it on the piece of property. We can ask for no variances for parking. We cannot ask at all for that.
All right. It appears to be fairly clear.
No variances, period, right?
No.
That's what we're being told.
If I may, Your
I
Honor.
didn't get a chance to read that, that's why I'm asking the question.
If I may, Your Honor, to answer, help Councilwoman understand this, I have a sexually oriented business in Ward 6. It doesn't belong there. It's a non-conforming use, and it's an old building. And I'm not fond of it. I want it to go away. So it's challenging for me, too, to accept this, but as Mayor Pro Tem has indicated, they still have to come back with plans that we have to approve as a council and individually as council members. Same protocol, going through the Planning Commission, and the whole process gets vetted and in public input.
Plus, I might add, I'm not familiar with the one in your district, but they probably would need a parking variance if they expanded, and therefore this ordinance doesn't give them that right. So I don't know that they can even apply. I don't know the one you're talking about.
And I don't want you to know the one I'm talking about. I'm just kidding, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
My motion, Your Honor, is to adopt.
Okay, let's
Thank you,
go,
Mr.
please.
Brown.
Thank you.
We do want to add that we are definitely for businesses to be able to improve their property and that type of thing. But because it did say expansion on here, and that was different
Okay,
than
I know, but we just, there's a
than
motion.
what was previously done in our conversation, which is why it looks like it's being changed today since our previous conversation. So thank you.
If I might say, Mayor, it seems that way, but if it is somebody attempting to make the expansion and we don't think they should, we don't want it, we vote it down. This doesn't give them the right just to come up with plans.
There's been a motion. Let's vote, please. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 66, bill number 2010-51 is eligible for adoption at a later meeting, so we're going to move on to the new bills. New bills, item 67 through 70, bills 2010-52 through 2010-55 will be heard at the recommending committee meeting on Tuesday, January 4th, 2011. Who's down there? Mr. Jervik?
I'll be happy to
Read
read them.
those bills, please.
Bill number 2010-52, an ordinance to amend the city's regulations pertaining to alcoholic beverages to establish liquor manufacturing license category and provide for related matters. Bill number 2010-53, an ordinance to update the municipal code provisions regarding the city's traffic signal impact fee program and provide for related matters. Bill number 2010-54, an ordinance to establish the means of allowing the use of auto sales showroom in certain commercial and industrial zoning districts and to provide for related matters. And finally, bill number 2010-55, an ordinance relating to sewer service and sewer connection charges, eliminating the annual sewer service charge increase otherwise effective in 2011, providing a mechanism by which the city may forego future annual rate increases, clarifying that owners of residential premises are responsible for sewer service user charges whether or not the premises are occupied, repealing the sewer service charge surcharge and regional sewer connection charge pertaining to the Clean Water Coalition and the Regional Systems Conveyance and Operations Program, and providing for related matters.
Thank you. Councilman Barlow, will you be available on January the 4th?
Yes.
Very good. Councilman Anthony, will you be available on the 4th? Okay, then we're going to sign these bills to you two gentlemen, and the morning session is in recess until, well, we're in recess until 1:15.
Last one, landline.
Oh, sure, that's good.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. We'll start our afternoon agenda by calling item number 71. Any items from the afternoon session that the council, staff, and/or the applicant wish to be stricken or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a few items here today. Item 88 through 91 is GPA 39489, rezoning 39490, variance 39492, site development review 39491, applicant Sequoia Electric, owner Sagebrush Property Ventures LLC, 4485 North Rainbow Boulevard. The applicant wants that to be held in advance until our March the 16th, 2011 meeting. Items 92 and 93, variance 39433 and special use permit 39432. Applicant Lamar Central Outdoor LLC, owner DNW Inc., 120 North Jones Boulevard. The applicant wants that to be held in advance until our January the 19th, 2011 meeting. Item number 94 is ROC 39470, applicant Richmond American Homes, owner Providence 207 LLC, 20.9 acres, adjacent to the southwest corner of Farm Road at Wallapai Way. The applicant has withdrawn that without prejudice. And item number 95 is an RQR 34682, applicant Clear Channel Outdoor LLC, owner Bright Path LLC, 820 South Valley View Boulevard. The applicant wants that to be held in advance until our June 15, 2011 meeting.
Well,
Maybe we don't have to worry about that one.
no, we do. We're still in action.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any items at this time? Hearing none, Your Honor, make a motion to bring these items forward and take the appropriate action, please.
All right, thanks. Let's vote on that, please.
I'm in the affirmative, please.
Post.
I'm in the affirmative.
Motion carries. Thank you. 72 is going to be a public hearing to determine the advisability of granting a natural gas distribution service franchise to Southwest Gas Corporation pursuant to the purpose, character, term, time, and conditions of the proposed franchise agreement. This pertains to all wards. It's a public hearing, which I now declare open. Anybody here on behalf of the city?
Mr. Mayor, this is Mr. Steed from the City Attorney's Office. This is a requirement of our charter that certain kinds of franchise agreements be published and had a public hearing. This is a continuation, essentially, of a franchise agreement that expired in 2009. It was extended 1 year to allow the parties to negotiate a new one. The term is for 15 years. The terms of the franchise are very similar to other similar agreements that have been entered into in the past. We have our franchise officer here, Mr. Chris Ware, and representatives of Southwest Gas if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. I think I'm going to read the next item as well. This is 64, Bill number 2010-49, grants to Southwest Gas Corporation a non-exclusive franchise to install, operate, and maintain a transmission and distribution system to provide natural gas to consumers within the city, subject to in accordance with the terms and conditions by the franchise agreement between the city and Southwest Gas Corporation. And would you read that, Bill?
Yes, thank you. Bill number 2010-49, an ordinance to grant a non-exclusive franchise to Southwest Gas Corporation to provide natural gas transmission and distribution services within the corporate limits of the city in accordance with that certain franchise agreement between the city and Southwest Gas Corporation, and to provide for other related matters.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to be heard on this? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll go on to item number 64. Could we have a motion on item 64, please? I guess Councilman Ross, you would be the one to make the motion.
Move to follow staff's recommendation, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 73 is a public hearing and possible action to consider the report of expenses to recover costs for abatement of nuisance located at 535 East St. Louis Avenue in the amount of $3,417 and assess a maximum of $29,050 in daily civil penalties. The property owner is Sato Fumio, and this is in Ward 3. Mr. Smith.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Devin Smith, Neighborhood Response Manager. The purpose and background of the condition of the property was a public hazard and an attractive nuisance. The Department of Neighborhood Services declared the property in violation and started legal notification. When no corrective action was taken nor an appeal filed, the Department of Neighborhood Services hired Lunas Construction to remove graffiti, remove all trash, debris, furniture, and discarded items in all yards, cut and remove all high grass and weeds on the entire property, and apply herbicide. To date, there have been 8 inspections conducted at this location. The estimated value of the property based on Zillow.com is $162,480. The recommendation is that the City Council approve the report of expenses to include a $300 invoice for Lunas Construction in addition to other fees for a total of $3,417, and consider assessing a maximum of $29,050 in daily civil penalties.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Smith? Is Mr. Fumio here? All right, it's a public hearing. If anyone would like to be heard. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll turn to Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Devin, for the record, how many times have we been out this property?
There have been 8 inspections that we've conducted at this location.
Have they been notified that they should be here today?
Yes, they have. We send notification posted and certified mail.
I really don't like to do this when people aren't here, but I am today. I'm going to make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for the $3,417 to recover our costs, and also want to assess the maximum $29,050 in daily civil penalties.
All right, that's the motion. Let's vote on that, please.
Mayor?
Yes.
Dan Still from the City Attorney's Office. I'm not sure if you relied on these photographs that are up on the screen related to Jimmy Avenue, but if you didn't, that's fine. If you want to just make the record clear that you didn't, that's probably
Yes,
okay.
well,
There's a bunch of pictures showing right now that
Okay,
are
well, I
not
appreciate
related.
that. From my perspective, there weren't any pictures.
That's not it.
No, well, there was just Mr. Smith's ugly face. Oh, I didn't say that. Come on. It's a holiday season. I'm not grinching. Come on. Ms. Fretwell, I apologize. All right, let's vote, please. Who said it? Post. Motion carries. Good job, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
74 is public hearing and possible action to consider the report of expenses to recover costs for abatement of nuisance located at 7600 Botany Bay Drive in the amount of $2,719 and assess a maximum of $57,550 in daily civil penalties. The property owner is Charles C. Spielman, and this is in Ward 4. It's a public hearing which is now declared open. Mr. Smith.
Again, Mayor and Council, Devin Smith, Neighborhood Response Manager. The purpose and background is that the condition of the property was a public hazard and an attractive nuisance. The Department of Neighborhood Services declared the property in violation and started legal notification. When no corrective action was taken nor an appeal filed, the Department of Neighborhood Services hired Weaver Construction to remove all trash, debris, high grass, and weeds from front and side yards. To date, there have been 7 inspections conducted at this location. The estimated value of the property based on Zillow.com is $217,000. The recommendation is that the City Council approve the report of expenses to include a $300 invoice for Weaver Construction in addition to other fees assessed for a total of $2,719, and consider assessing a maximum of $57,550 in daily civil penalties.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Smith? Is Mr. Spielman here? All right, it's a public hearing, if anyone would like to be heard. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. We heard this morning that there's a 54% foreclosure rate in Las Vegas, and everybody up here on the city council, a lot of people are trying to deal with that issue, and it's tough. But one of the things that we can do is make sure we hold people accountable to keep these houses looking nice so they don't destroy the neighborhood. And, this particular house is in Desert Shores. It's in a nice neighborhood. According to the records here, in September of '09, Mr. Spielman didn't respond to any of our communications, so I made a motion that was approved to put abatement costs of $5,485 and civil penalties of $31,050 for a total of $36,535. So you would figure that somebody would get the message on that, that we're not messing around here, and he can't let this house deteriorate the rest of the neighborhood, because it gets back to this broken windows theory. If you have a house in a neighborhood and the window's broken and nobody fixes it, the rest of the neighborhood goes down. And these are people that live on that block that want to keep their neighborhood up, and this guy just doesn't want to pay attention. So, I appreciate you, Devin, staying on top of this, but apparently, from what I understand, he's not responding. He doesn't care. Charles C. Spielman apparently lives in New Jersey and still owns the house, but he really could give a crap about his house and the neighborhood up there. And that's really a shame for somebody to do that to a neighborhood. They don't even live in this state. So it's my understanding that your recommendation is a second abatement and civil penalty of $2,719 and then civil penalties of $57,550 for a total of $60,269 on top of the $36,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to add those additional penalties, and if Mr. Charles C. Spielman is watching, he needs to get his act together. If anybody knows Charles C. Spielman and knows this guy who lives in New Jersey, would you give him a call and tell him to get his act together? And all I can say is, Charles C. Spielman, can you hear me now? I mean, we're up to $100,000. Make the place look nice while you're not living there. So that's my motion.
Okay, and all I can tell you, Councilman Anthony, if Charles C. Spielman is watching this, I'm going to introduce him to the Mayor Pro Tem's sister. Oh, well,
Is that a good thing?
That's sort of an inside joke from this morning. Okay, let's vote. Post. Motion carries. Thanks, and Devin, happy holidays to you.
Same to you. And all of you.
Okay, items 75 through 77 are on the consent agenda. They're considered to be routine. They're recommended for approval by the Department of Planning and Development. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda, items 75 through 77?
I move to approve with all conditions, please.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Post. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, items 78 through 85 may be considered in one motion, one vote. They're considered routine public hearing items with no condition changes. Any person representing an application or member of the public or member of the council who's not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this portion of the agenda. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read them into the record. I understand that Councilwoman wants one of them pulled. Is that correct? 82. Does anybody want one of these pulled and not considered one motion, one vote? Okay, then we'll go read the items, one motion, one vote, and then we'll go to 82 thereafter. Number 78 is GPA 39334. The applicant owner, City of Las Vegas et al., request for a general plan amendment from PF, Public Facilities, to Commercial, to C Commercial on 2.12 acres at the northwest corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Gas Avenue in Ward 3. 79 is ZON 39754. The applicant is City of Las Vegas. The owner is NV Energy. Request for a rezoning from R1 single-family residential to CV Civic on 2.45 acres at 4200 East Charleston Boulevard in Ward 3. Number 80 is ZON 39757. The applicant is City of Las Vegas. The owner is NV Energy. Request for rezoning from RE Residence Estates to CV Civic on 1.35 acres at 1301 Michael Way in Ward 5. 81 is ZON 39769. The applicant is the City of Las Vegas. The owner is NV Energy. Request for rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential to CV Civic on 1.55 acres at 232 Shadow Lane in Ward 5. 83 is RQR 39371. The applicant is Reagan National Advertising. The owner is COG Roman numeral 3 LTD. Required review of a previously approved special use permit for a 40-foot tall, 14-foot by 48-foot off-premise billboard sign at 1110 South Rainbow Boulevard in Ward 1. Number 84 is RQR 39499. The applicant is Las Vegas Billboards. The owner is Fong Imperial Plaza Limited Partnership. Required review of a previously approved special use permit for a 40-foot tall, 12-foot by 24-foot off-premise billboard sign at 1571 North Decatur Boulevard. 85 is RQR 39575. The applicant is Gold and Silver Jewelry Supply. The owner is Solomon Habashi. Required review of a previously approved special use permit for a secondhand dealer use jewelry within an existing 2,300 square foot jewelry store at 1300 East Sahara Avenue in Ward 3. The Planning Commission and staff recommend approval for all these items. All these items are public hearings, which I now declare open. If anybody wants to be heard on any or all of them, be happy to hear from you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Teddy Russell V, resident of Las Vegas. On the one motion, one vote items, I heartily recommend approval. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else like to be heard? All right, then we'll close the public hearing. May I have a motion to approve items 78 through 85 with the exception of 82?
Yes, I'm going to make a motion to approve those items with all conditions, please, with the exceptions of item number 82.
Thank you. Let's vote on that, please. Post? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. 82 is VAR 39816. The applicant owner is Charles Hopper. Request for variance to allow a 1-foot, 6-inch side yard setback where 15 feet are required for a proposed 2-car carport on 0.54 acres at 305 Rosemary Lane in Ward 1. Councilwoman?
Is the owner?
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Certainly. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Trevor Hayes, 3108 Sonia Drive, on behalf of the applicant.
Yes, sir.
I know when we met that I talked with you, and I asked you to contact the residents around you in that area, and did you do so?
I did.
And especially the one that's next door to you where the carport will be coming closer to their property than ordinarily?
We were unable to actually reach them. They, until recently, had a large carport themselves that was on their south side. We've tried to contact them. The house seems to be abandoned for all purposes. No one ever seems to go there. I found a business number for them. We'd called that. But I did talk to almost every other neighbor there, all down Ashworth, and then 3 on either side on that direction. As you notice, the comment cards that came in were both, one was from Rancho Bel Air and the other was from Rancho Circle, and they are far from this site and
Right,
don't have any effect on it.
I was just concerned about that one neighbor, but if they're not there and you can't reach them. The other thing is you're absolutely right, and of course Bel Air and Rancho Circle are gated communities. There's no way they could see that or get to that even without going all the way out to Alta first, Rancho, then to Alta. But I wanted to make sure you had contacted the residents near you.
I did. I personally went up and down the street, and like I said, that one was the one I couldn't, but 3 on either side there, north and south, and then all down Ashworth.
Okay. I would move to approve with all conditions.
All right, that's the motion. Let's vote, please. Post, please. Motion carries. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, item 86 is a rescission, ZON 39358, a rezoning related to GPA 39357. It's a public hearing. Request for a general plan amendment from R2 medium-low density residential to CV Civic on 1.19 acres at the southwest corner of Clark Avenue, 14th Street in Ward 3. The Planning Commission and staff recommend approval of this item. It's a public hearing, which is now declared open. Ms. Wheeler, did you want to be heard on this?
This is just on the
rescission?
rescission. I just make a motion to approve, please.
Okay, very good. There's a motion to rescind. Anyone want to be heard about that? All right, we'll close the public hearing then. Let's vote on the motion to rescind, please. Motion carries. Thank you. 87 is the rehearing, re-notification, ZON 39358, the rezoning related to GPA 39357. It's a public hearing. The applicant is City of Las Vegas, the owner is NV Energy. Request for a general plan amendment from R2, medium-low density residential, to CV Civic on 1.19 acres at the southwest corner of Clark Avenue and 14th Street. This is in Ward 3, and this request is for a rezoning and not a general plan amendment. The staff recommends approval, as does the Planning Commission. It's a public hearing, which is now open.
Your Honor, if I could.
Please.
This here was not properly noticed from staff when it was first heard. Mark, can you explain to us what it is?
Yes, sir. These are, and Mayor Pro Tem, these are items just to bring the sites to a zoning that is appropriate for the use in each case. These are Nevada Energy sites, and therefore CV is the correct zoning on these locations.
Thank you. My motion, Your Honor, would be to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item, as well as Planning Commission's.
Very good. That's the motion. Let's vote on that, please.
Thank you, Margot.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're all the way up to 96. 96 and 97. 96 is GPA 38579. Request for a general plan amendment from DR, Desert Rural Density Residential, to SC, Service Commercial. 97 is ZON 38580. Request for rezoning from RE Residence Estates to C1 Limited Commercial. Number 98 is VAR 38576. Request for variance to allow a 100-foot setback from the west and east property lines and a 20-foot setback from the north property line, where residential adjacency standards require a minimum of 81 feet from the west property line and 84 feet from the north and east property lines. 99 is SUP 38574. Request for special use permit for a proposed 47-bed, 17,777 square foot convalescent care facility nursing home. 100 is SDR 38577. Request for a site development plan for a proposed two-story, 17,777 square foot convalescent care facility nursing home, and a waiver of the perimeter buffer standards to allow 4 feet along the south perimeter where 15 feet is required, 0 feet along a portion of the west and east perimeters where 8 feet is required, and 0 feet between the sidewalk and back of curb where 5 feet is required adjacent to arterial streets. The applicant owner of these items is Piteka P. and Tazy R. Miyahiri, located on .90 acres at 6640 West Cheyenne Avenue. The Planning Commission and staff recommends approvals on items 96 and 97. On items 98, 99, and 100, the Planning Commission recommends approval, and staff recommends denial. These items are in Ward 4. They're public hearings, which are all declared open at this time. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Paitaka P. Miyahira. I'm the owner of the property along with my wife, and we have an existing building, and we're proposing to build a 21-bed assisted care living facility in the back of it. And as you can see there, we are proposing to do the landscaping and try to make the best use of the property. It fronts Cheyenne. On the west side of the property is a Chevron gas station. On the east side of the property, it's owned by Mike Hardin, and I've spoke to him, and he supports the project. On the north side, I have full support of the property owner on the north side. I spoke to the people on the east side of the project. Directly to the east here, I was not able to contact these people. They've got their gates all locked up, and they're very private, and I can't get in to talk to them. I've even gone behind the block wall, and they just want to remain private. We've sent out letters for neighborhood meetings. We've had 3 neighborhood meetings. I've also spoke to people in the cul-de-sac, the house here, and then the house here, and they also support the project. A couple of them are nurses, and they can understand why I would want to do something like that. My wife and I feel like the use of the property for assisted care living would be a good use. Our daughter has a year left to be a certified nurse. I have 6 children. I think that I can employ some of them in the facility, and I can also employ people in the neighborhood, and it'll supply some jobs. And my wife is currently, and myself, we're going to take some classes on learning how to be better caregivers and also run the facility along with a first-class facility administrator. And we're going to have the best possible staff, because reputation is going to be number one, and we can't afford to not have the best possible people employed. So, and the elevation of the building will be 15 feet from finished floor to the top of the roof line. It's a single-story unit. And you can see where the line of sight is from the neighbors.
We're not getting the overhead. Is this a picture of the home in the street?
That's
That
existing.
is, that's the existing home. That's-
Okay. And this is a drawing of what?
That's the drawing of the building we're proposing to build that would be 15 foot in height from the finished floor to the top of the roof line. And I've got a budget of $180,000 for landscaping. I'm going to have a lot of trees, a lot of tall trees, a lot of lush vegetation. I'll have a koi pond in the front. And areas for the residents to sit and visit, and gardening in the back, meandering pathways, and for people to come and visit their families, and it'll be a good atmosphere for them to live in. Low, unintrusive lighting for the neighborhoods so that it doesn't go into their backyards. And I just want to make it a place to where the neighborhood can, it doesn't impact them that much.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Miyahira? All right, folks, a public hearing, if anyone would like to be heard.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
Well, residents come forward. I have had an opportunity to speak. I'm sorry. I've had an opportunity to speak with the applicant, and the development that he's bringing forward seems like a pretty decent development. However, I have also received an email from one of the residents that was opposed to the project as well, and I'm pretty sure you may or may not know who that individual is, but I'm not sure if they're here today, but I did want to basically put that on the record, being that they sent it to my office, and so just wanted to make that for the record.
All right, thank you. All right, yes, sir.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. The applicant says that he has trails and walking areas for the residents, but I see on the footprint here that is only 20 feet wide, so I wondered that. But that's beside the point. The issue that I have, when we were talking months ago about the budget cuts, some of our departments said that it would affect their being able to adequately police these types of homes. And I want to make absolutely certain that if what we're improving for more and more homes, that we have the staff to make sure that we don't get in some nightmare situation. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I'm sure that the council does too, where people had bed sores and stuff, they weren't being adequately taken care of, and they were missing it because they didn't have the people to oversee it. And I want to make absolutely certain that that isn't going to happen.
Thank you. Next, please.
Steve Troop, 3264 North Gerheim. This lot abuts a RE preservation area, and the original purpose for the RE surrounding this preservation area was a buffer zone. allowing C1 in this area removes our buffer. And if this gentleman does develop this or gets his zoning and then fails to develop, what happens to the C1 zoning? How are we protected that it's not become a restaurant or something that we don't even want?
Okay, well, let's have that question answered, okay?
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that we could assure the gentleman that if in fact this particular project is not built, that the change of zoning would not remain?
The change of zoning won't remain. It will remain always C1 until such time as somebody comes back in and changes it.
Is there any way we could protect the neighborhood from, if there is a change of heart?
A restaurant would probably require an SUP to come in this area, so it would come back before you and probably need another site plan review.
Okay.
So you would have final approval as to what actually goes in that location.
Question, does it have to be C1? Can it be office professional or something like that that would limit it? Office professional is what has been going in on Cheyenne in that area. I know there is a gas station, but that was snuck in '89.
I don't believe people can reside in office professional. But
The corner of Gerheim and Cheyenne, there's a business office professional.
But I don't think you can reside in office professional. You can't live, I don't believe you can live there. The planning director's looking it up, though.
Or is there any other zoning that would fit?
Trying to get an answer for you.
And also, there's no buffer, there's very minimal buffer. The gentleman to the east of this property is his brother-in-law. So if this is successful or thinks he can make it, he'll probably try to get the same thing in. So no, he's not going to contest it.
And Mayor, just because you grant an SUP on one property doesn't mean you're required to grant it on another property. It has to go by case-by-case basis.
Thank you. Basically, there's nothing to carry on until we answer the gentleman's question.
But I believe the project is too big for .9 acres.
Okay, well, all
If I
right.
may, Mayor?
Sure.
The convalescent care nursing facility is allowed with an SUP in C1, 2, and our residential zones. It is not allowed in office.
Okay, thank you.
Can it be restricted some way then? I'm sure you guys could come up with an answer. Enough brain power.
Margot, I'm sorry,
If
Mayor,
I-
if you will.
Yes,
Did you mention that it is allowed in R1 with a SUP?
No, I said in other residential, just a moment.
Even if it is changed, nothing can be built there.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I think the only guarantee that you have, sir, is that nothing could be built there other than this without our approval. That's the only guarantee.
Okay, well, I do oppose it because it is too large for that lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Next, please.
Hello, Kristen Stout at 6500 Atwood Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89108. I'm the constituent who sent the emails to Councilman Barlow, Ross, and Anthony, so I hope you got them. Thank you for taking the time to read them. I'm just going to hopefully just briefly go over some of the points I did send in the letter, which I think are valid points. Currently, the property is zoned rural density. The adjacent and surrounding properties are also zoned rural density or rural estates. A rezoning of C1 is too intense zoning for that area. The properties located on the north side of Cheyenne are not zoned C1. They are zoned either rural estates or office professional. And like he said before, there is a Chevron there at the corner, but that was built in 1989. And all the properties along Cheyenne are not zoned C1. Directly south of the proposed property on Cheyenne, it's a neighborhood. They're not office buildings, and it's not commercial. I'm also concerned with the rezoning of C1 of this property, as it will lead to the two adjacent properties, which are owned by the applicant's family, which will then be rezoned as C1 in the future. These properties are currently zoned rural estates, as well as the homes adjacent to these properties. The proposed project is too large without providing any buffers to the surrounding rural density zone properties. The C1 properties are to be on the periphery of neighborhoods. This project is not on the periphery of a neighborhood and the rural density zone properties, but adjacent to them. The project will have over 17,000 square feet of buildings on 0.9 acres. To rezone this property as C1, it sets a precedent that is not only negative, but it's also harmful to the neighborhood. This is a rural estates, rural preservation neighborhood that has existed for over 30 years, and the homes are occupied, they're maintained, and the neighborhood does not need any type of redevelopment of this type or this kind of intense rezoning. There are also 3 very large convalescent care senior housing facilities in less than 1 mile east of the proposed site, as well as another large convalescent care senior housing facility less than a half mile east of the site. Therefore, if this project is approved, there will be 5 large convalescent care facilities in a radius of less than 1 mile. This tally does not include the multiple group homes that currently exist in the surrounding neighborhoods. And also, the communication about this proposed project has been lacking and confusing for the neighborhood. This project keeps changing. First, it was a 2-story facility with 47 beds. Then it became a 10-bed nursing care facility utilizing the existing home, and now the current proposal that you have. And also the amount of notification cards received on this project has been many and confusing. In speaking with my neighbors, they believe the cards that were sent out were just duplicates of the 10-bed project. The applicant of this proposed project has not met with the neighbors, as he stated at the November 18th Planning Commission meeting. He has a consensus of his of his family members that own the 2 adjacent properties and the other 2 individuals who own properties near the site. However, in the support documentation, 15 protest cards were returned. 15 may seem like a minimal amount, but please remember, homes in our neighborhood are on properties of ½ acre to 3 acres. Therefore, there are fewer of us than in a typical Las Vegas neighborhood. I'm asking you to vote no on this project, but if anything, please hold. Don't vote on this, hold this item. So more information could be provided to you, and most importantly to the neighborhood. They have not been informed on the impact the rezoning of a C1 will have and what the standard currently is of the properties along Cheyenne. It is not C1, it is rural estate or office professional. Furthermore, the proposal requested today does not provide a buffer to the surrounding properties, and it's too large, too intense, and a detriment to the rural neighborhood directly adjacent to this property. And in closing, actually, it's a question. What are the posting requirements? This item that's on the agenda, it's not posted on the property. There was a sign, but it was out of date, and now it's gone. There's nothing posted there. So that's my closing question, and thank you for your time.
Okay. Is anybody able to answer the question? Ms. Wheeler?
Mayor, the site is posted. We go out and verify that, and however, if somehow the sign is removed from the property at some point in time, we do not go out certainly on a daily basis to ensure that the sign is there.
It's been down for a while.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. My name is Theodore Updike Russell. I am profoundly prejudiced on this aspect in this project because, I'll have to be blunt, my mother, Margaret Lois Updike Russell, died from nursing home abuse. Let us say, for the purposes of this argument, the Valley is my neighborhood because over 50% of the people right here now living in this valley are senior citizens. Chevron, it's a swan song for me. I redesigned Chevron Network Operations, willyoujoinus.com. I am positively, passionately in favor of this. How can we complain about too many of these facilities when there are so many of us that are seniors and hurting? I've heard this man's voice, his humility, his gentleness, his earnestness. I realize there's a lot of controversy in this and that. With my heart and with my head, I passionately recommend approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard?
Hi, my name is Cecile Chartre, and I am, it's my son that owns the property that's adjacent to the property in question here, and I'm to the north?
You're to the, you're here.
To the north. I'm sorry, he's in Kentucky on a business trip, and I have to represent him.
That's fine.
I come from a very progressive business background. I've worked with some large companies, and I understand that we always have to move forward. Sometimes we're comfortable in a bedroom community, but then it doesn't stay that way. Sometimes we need to bring more services. If, for some reason, or for whatever reason, we do pass this, I have a list of requirements that I am asking for to protect my property, and I believe you've already received this list before, and it's an agreement between, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name, but your project, and Christopher and Shannon Chartre. And we do habitat at 3265 North Gaham Street. And we are asking that the property developer will pay for and secure any and all variants and permits to increase the current block wall along the north property line and up to 20 feet along the eastern property line to an 8-foot height. That means, okay, he's there, I don't want to see him. I don't want to be part of it, and I don't want we have Rottweilers, we have, I don't want them just sitting there barking at these people that are going to be walking along the back fence, because that's where the walkway is that they're going to meander through during the day. So we would have to say, can we have that 8 foot? If we can't have that 8 foot, we really aren't interested, but if that's possible through the zoning. The other is the property developer will pay for all cost of the material and labor to increase that 8-foot wall that is in number 1 here. And the property developer will pay and install trees along the north property line no more than 10 feet that will create a visual barrier, then will extend from the top of the wall to a height of no less than 12 feet from the ground. And again, we need to have that barrier. I know you guys all, you're supposed to have a copy of this, but if not, I'll give you a copy. And the other item is, number 4, is that no evasive lighting to be installed above the eyes of the north and east side of the proposed building. All lighting on the north and east of the building must be below the eaves of the building. If you look on the map, this whole complex is looking right into our backyard. We have a pool there, and we have all of our windows and lighting for our house all comes from the backyard. So we don't want these floodlights coming in and invading our, my son took a lot of years to save the money to buy this, kind of like his dream house. And, he wants to be able to live in his backyard. And they want to be able to swim without having people just sitting watching them swimming. And anyways, the proposed building will only be 1 story in height, because their first plans were to have a 2nd story, and we just thought, no way that could happen. But anyways, this has been signed from the builder and ourselves.
You want to make that a part of the record, because I have not received that, and I have not received the email that was referred to in the with the prior speaker. I don't know what happened, whether I was included or not, but I haven't seen
It
either
should
of
be
these
part of the
documents.
record.
Yeah,
It should
yeah,
be.
my husband's been coming to the meetings, and we sent it in an
Okay.
email, and anyways, there's
All
a
right.
copy of it.
Thank you.
That was signed between both parties.
Very good.
And so, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jeff Robbins, 2261 Rosanna Street, Las Vegas. I fully support this project. I believe that the future need is going to require this sort of development, and this is the most benign use for this piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to be heard at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and turn to Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I have a couple of comments and some questions. Margot, you mentioned that residential zoning would allow this project to be compatible. Is that correct?
Mayor and Councilman, yes, there are restrictions, however, with regard to the size of the lots and that sort of thing. Based on this project proposal, the zoning would need to be R3. And R3 zoning would allow up to 22 units on this site. So the most appropriate zoning, in staff's opinion, is the C1. The property immediately to the west of this property is C1. And so then this creates, this does not create what we call spot zoning, where you have one lot with a zoning that's different from everybody else's. The zoning to the immediate west is C1. This property would have the same zoning, and this would allow for the project of this size on this size of a lot. Staff certainly believes that that would be more appropriate than an R3 zoning in this location.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. So you're recommending C1, and that's what fits. Okay. All right, Mr. Miyahira, sometime back you came in with a pretty intense project for that piece of property. I mean, it was 2 stories, 47 beds, 17,777 square feet. It was pretty big for that piece of property, and that's fine. I mean, that's what you were looking at. And I met with you, and then you went out and talked to the neighbors, and it wasn't going to work out. I mean, I didn't.
Well, yeah, I looked at it and I had a gut feeling, that's too big,
Right. And you heard that from me, you heard that from the neighbors, so you went back and scaled it back. So now we're talking about a 1-story building, 31 beds, and...
which includes the front building, which is the 10, which we got a special use permit for.
Right,
So
and then
that
the
is-
square feet is 15,114. So you've scaled this back quite a bit. And it's interesting that, if you drive along Cheyenne right there, it is spot zoning right now. You have commercial, you have your place, there's one next to it, and then there's more commercial, and then there's a piece of property. I don't know what it's zoned, but it's a destroyed half of a house, or it looks like a horse corral, and then there's more commercial and commercial. So it does look all messed up. I mean, it's not just one thing; it's a bunch of things, and it's good that you have the property owner behind you, and you agree with all his conditions, correct?
I do.
All their conditions.
I do.
Okay. Reference the. I know there's a concern about, well, you're going to put a convalescent home there, and then all of a sudden you're going to flip it, and there's going to be a nightclub or something else. You are assuring me that that's going to be a convalescent home for many years, because I will be very upset if it turns into something else.
No, I'm a man of my word.
Okay, thank you. And even if something did happen down the road, they would still have to come back to this council and me for a special use permit for something else. And, a convalescent home is very, very low intensity. They're seniors. It's not like a basketball gym with 100 kids out there playing basketball. These seniors are going to be pretty quiet. They need a lot of medical attention, right?
Oh, yes.
So, and then I know there was concern about the home next door. What's going to happen to that? Well, I don't know what's going to happen to that.
I don't know either.
It still has to come back to the city council, and for me, for any future decisions on whether it should remain residential, commercial. So I think you've done a good job of scaling this down quite a bit. I think it fits Cheyenne. Cheyenne is a heavily traveled roadway, and I've met with you a bunch of times, and I think you're a man of your word, and you're really interested in helping seniors. So with that, I'll go ahead and make my motion to approve on the series of items, Mayor.
Okay, why don't we start with 96 then?
Okay, my motion for 96 is to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
All right, let's vote on that, please. Post? Motion carries. 97, please.
My motion is to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Please vote on that. Post?
I'm working on it.
Motion carries. 98.
Just one thing, Margot, are there any other conditions that we were supposed to read into the record based on?
On 100, sir.
On 100? Okay, thank you. So on 98, my motion is to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
All right, let's vote on that. Post? Motion carries. 99.
My motion is to follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Please vote. Post? Motion carries. And 100.
If I may, Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman, some changes. The change to condition number 1 would read that the rear and 20 feet along the northeastern property line block wall shall be 8 feet in height, and lighting placed in the north yard shall be lower than the height of the wall. Additionally, condition number 12, condition 12, is recommended to be changed to delete the last sentence and replace with this language, that the landscape plan shall be modified to show 24-inch box sumac trees 20 feet on center and rosewood shrubs 10 feet on center within the northern landscape setback, spacing to be triangulated to maximize screening. And an additional condition to be added indicating that parking space 17, shown on plans date stamped October 28, 2010, shall be moved to the west of space 16 to allow for expansion of the adjacent open space, subject to approval of the Planning and Development staff.
Do you agree with that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
And Margot, Mayor, all the conditions that reference the folks in the back, that's all. Where was all that approved?
The conditions, Mayor and Councilman, from the piece of paper, I have reworked those into the conditions, so the issue of the lighting, the block wall, and the landscaping is covered. The issue of the cost and is required as part of these conditions upon the applicant. So I've just reworked this into the conditions that can be implemented and enforced by the city.
Thank you. And Mayor, there were 2 parking spaces in front of the koi pond, and asked Mr. Miyahira to get rid of one of them so there's be more room for the seniors to hang out, because I know you like koi ponds,
I love koi.
and I'm sure that was important to you.
I love koi. I'm going to write a book about koi.
I'll name one of them Oscar, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
I don't mind at all. As a matter of fact, I will give you about $30 to buy Oscar. So it's the most beautiful koi in the pond.
Okay.
So with that, Mayor, my motion will be, 100 will be follow Planning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Sure. Okay.
As amended?
As amended.
All right, we'll take the vote, then Councilman Ross has a comment. Let's vote, please. Post, Councilman Ross?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman. I just want the residents to know out there that should Mr. Miyahira not build this, that how long, and let me ask through you, Mayor, to the Director. Director, how long are these entitlements good for?
The original approval is good for 2 years from the date of the approval, in which they have the time to obtain their building permits and begin work.
And in those 24 months, he doesn't obtain his permits and doesn't build this, it reverts back to the...
He would have to obtain an extension of time. However, the general plan amendment and the rezoning take effect. Those actions are fine.
They take effect.
Yes, sir.
All All right, I have a point of interest. Mr. Scott? Yes, sir. Do facilities like this, I assume they have to be licensed by the state, do they not?
They do, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Items 101 and 102. 101 is SUP 39819, request for a major amendment to a previously approved special use permit for a proposed 7,399 square foot expansion of an approved 37,151 square foot liquor establishment, a tavern. Number 102 is SDR 39818, request for a major amendment to a previously approved site development plan review to add 7,399 square feet, including a third floor with deck, to an approved 37,151 square foot sexually oriented business, and for parking lot modifications. The applicant owner on these items is D2801 Westwood, Inc., located at 2801 Westwood Drive. The Planning Commission and staff recommends approval of items. All these items are in Ward 1. They're public hearings, which I now declare open. Are you representing the applicant?
I am.
Very good. This is a public hearing? No, it is not. It's not a public hearing. Well, it is and it isn't. One part says it is, one part says it isn't. We'll make it a public hearing. No problem. Okay. I now declare it open. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Winston Henderson, architect, on behalf of the applicant, 1555 East Flamingo Road. This is an adjustment to a previously approved addition that you have already looked at. And basically, we are adding a rooftop deck and third floor area to the project that was previously approved. We have reviewed staff recommendations and we concur with their conditions. We do look, the applicant has asked for a clarification. I understand there's been concern about view lines, sight lines, and we want to make clear that there is no topless entertainment on the open roof deck terrace. There is topless entertainment within the enclosed areas of the addition. So we want to make that very clear. And if that needs to be a condition, we're fine with that.
All right. Are there any questions of the gentleman? Folks, public hearing, if you'd like to be heard on this.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. Of course, I have never touched a drop of alcohol, but this looks pretty dreamy to me. I heartily recommend approval. Thank you so much.
Would anyone else like to be heard?
Yeah, Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. And I'd like to see the topless gals up there on the roof.
Wait a second. Is his name still on the sign outside? Yeah. Are we allowed to rescind that, Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm considering it right now, yes.
All right. Anyone else like to be heard? We'll close the public hearing then. Councilwoman Tarkanian.
Could you repeat for me, please, about the last 3 or 4 sentences that you said? I know you said something about topless dancers and in a contained area, and then you said something, we would go along with this, we wouldn't go along with this. I couldn't hear.
I was clarifying that there would be no topless entertainment on the open-air terrace.
Excuse me, Councilwoman. I didn't realize that this was an existing business and what business it was. I better abstain because one of my sons does work for the establishment. So I'm sorry that I went this far, even though I didn't vote on anything. I'm glad that I asked the Mayor Pro Tem whether this was what I thought it is, and it is.
It's treasures.
Right, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay. See you later. Councilwoman, so I'm clarifying that there are some enclosed areas on the new third floor addition, and we want to make certain that they will be able to have their business within those enclosed areas, which are out of sight.
So they're going to have liquor and the topless dancing and whatever in the enclosed areas?
That is correct.
And Margot, you and I discussed a couple of things.
If I may, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilwoman, on the SUP, the proposed language would be that there shall be no dancing by employees on exterior decks. So that would be the unenclosed areas. I believe we're saying the same thing. And then with regard to the site development plan review, that there shall be no signage on the exterior of the third floor deck. That no signage on the third floor.
Right.
And I'd ask if you would actually go a step further on the, and not say no dancing by any employees, let's say no topless dancing. because there will certainly be music there, and there may be some fully clothed employees that would be dancing as you would at any other club. So we want to make it, that's why we're looking to make it very clear.
With the councilwoman's...
Oh, my gosh.
Well, the applicants don't want to have any confusion that this is a club that's going to compete with other clubs for general dancing, music, DJs. And if we say no dancing, that can be confusing as opposed to being very clear and saying there'll be no topless dancing.
But she said no dancing by the employees. That means the people who come there could dance. So I think I'd go with what she said, and I move to approve with those conditions.
Okay.
That's on item 101. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none,
That's with the conditions as amended, Councilwoman, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, my motion is with the additions as amended.
Cast your vote. Please post. Motion carries. And item 102, please.
I move that we accept with all amendments and conditions.
You've heard the motion. Cast your vote. Please post. Excuse me just a minute. Do we have to have 5 out here with the mayor being gone?
Nope, just 4, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion carries. Thank you. Items 103 is RQR 2039-882, required review, applicant owner, Kyotoyan Living Trust and Armenian Erosion and Nora Living Trust, request for required review of previously approved special use permit for an auto parts, new and rebuilt, bless you, accessory sales and service, and auto repair garage minor at 4401 Stewart Avenue. Nora, where are you? She's not here. I have been down here a number of times. This has been ongoing for the last couple of years. I feel quite comfortable with the staff that we have and the enforcement that we have. If we have any problems down here, we can go down and clean it up and tear it down if we have to. I'd make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval of this item with all conditions. Well, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item?
Thank you. Todd Farley, 240 North 19th Street. And a few months ago, they said that they would come in and clean the property up, and they did that. So they held with the word on that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Todd. We got no dancing girls down there, though.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. My name is Teddy Russell V, a resident of Las Vegas. Concerning the prior item, I didn't even realize it was treasurers.
We can't go back to prior.
Teddy Russell V, resident of Las Vegas.
We're on item 103 right now.
I was invited to the opening and couldn't attend. I was a slave for the Las Vegas Tribune. Concerning this project, I'm really not savvy with this. I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of you the merriest of Christmases and the most blessed New Year. I've got to run. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the motion. Any question on the motion? Let's cast your vote. Let's post. Motion carries. And at this time, I would like to excuse the mayor. He has some out-of-town business people coming to meet with him upstairs at this time, and they're looking to bring some new business downtown, so we'll excuse him for that. Item 104 is Director's Business 40212, non-public hearing, applicant owner Cliffs Edge LLC request required review of an annual development report as required by Section 5.1 of the Cliffs Edge Development Agreement on approximately 1,134 acres generally located adjacent to the south side of Grandtown, Teton Drive, between Wallapai Way and Pulley Road. This is in Ward 6. Staff recommends approval, And I guess it's up to you, Flynn.
We have received the report from the developer relative to conformance with the terms of the development agreement. We find it to be in order and do recommend approval of the one-year review.
Any questions of the man, Mr. Ross?
No, sir.
Okay. We need a motion.
The motion would be to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
We got a motion. Cast your vote, please. Post, please. Motion carries. And item 105 is Director's Business, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, presentation update of the Unified Development Code, UDC, which proposes to merge the Las Vegas Municipal Code, Title Number 18, Subdivision Regulations, and Title 19, Zoning Code, into a Unified Development Code for the City of Las Vegas. This is in all wards. This is a public hearing. Margot, Quinn. This is Mr. Flagg.
Mayor Pro Tem and members of council, as you will recall, back in September at the Joint Planning Commission City Council workshop, we gave you an update of our progress on the Unified Development Code. And I'm happy to say that the draft version of the code has been through Planning Commission, and at their November 18th meeting, they recommended approval of it. Because of the length of the document and the amount of information contained therein, we wanted to do an informational presentation to you today and to give you a draft copy of that code so that you have the opportunity to review it before it comes to you in ordinance format, which we expect to happen in January. And actually this morning during the ceremonial items, I think Margot gave most of my presentation about the Unified Development Code, so I'll make this very brief. If I could have the next slide, please. I just wanted to go over very quickly with you what some of the major changes are so that you'll be aware of those as you review the document. And again, if you have questions, that you can forward those to staff. Number one, we wanted to make this more user-friendly for members of the public and also for staff members. We have translated our existing zoning information into more of a graphic format. We've streamlined some of our zoning categories. We've also introduced walkability and sustainability concepts into the code. We've introduced a complete streets chapter with connectivity standards. And then we've also formatted the document for internet use, and that's one of the things that's going to make it much easier for people to use. If I could have the next slide, please. Just so you're aware, there are some substantial things that have not changed with the Unified Development Code. Number one is that our zoning district standards, for example, our R1 zoning district standards or our commercial district standards, for the most part have not changed. Setbacks, lot coverage, height restrictions, things like that have not changed. Our parking requirements have not changed, our use table has not changed, our sign standards have not changed, nor have our application and procedures changed. And so, again, we are making some rather substantial changes, but there are a lot of things that have not changed. In terms of our process, we have been working with the Customer Feedback Committee in terms of developing the draft that will come before you in January. We've had members of the Planning Commission, members of the Home Builders Association, NAOP, the RTC, the development community, including architects, engineers, land use attorneys. We have also worked with the Las Vegas Green Council, with the Southern Nevada Health District, Stormwater Quality Management Group, and the AIA in terms of the standards that we have in the code. Internal cooperation has been something that's been very important to us, and we have had a lot of excellent work and excellent support from members of Public Works, from Fire and Rescue, from the City Attorney's Office, and especially as they go through the draft review of this. We do appreciate their help with that. The Office of Sustainability, and also our senior staff in Planning and Development. One of the things I did want to point out to you is relative to our complete street standards. There seems to be some misconception that somehow our complete street standards is tied to the residential fire sprinkler issue. I want to clarify that those two are separate issues. The street standards that we have contained in this draft of the Unified Development Code does not require residential sprinklers at this point in time. The street standards that we have proposed, and when we use the term complete streets, we mean streets that accommodate all forms of traffic, not only vehicular traffic, but also pedestrians, bicycles, and transit. So when we say complete streets, we mean that it handles all four forms of those. Now, we don't always are able to handle for example, bicycle paths on all of our streets. But again, we are trying to have complete streets where we do manage all forms of traffic. Moving on to the next slide, another thing that we have added that's brand new is an internal connectivity ratio, and that talks about internal access within a subdivision and then also looking at how a subdivision relates to the exterior streets. One of the problems that has been identified is that so many times with our subdivisions, because of the walls and only having one access in, that people often have to drive much further to get to the goods and services that they need, or even to the bus stop, than if we had additional points of access. And so this is something that we've worked very closely with the home builders and the development community. We've come up with a connectivity ratio that we think all of us can live with, and so we're very satisfied with that. One of the other things that we have done is relative to the grid network, and again, this is to support connectivity, is we have proposed to add an additional layer of collector streets into our master plan of streets and highways. And to just be very upfront with you, this is one of the issues that the home builders are not comfortable with at this point in time, but we just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that ahead of time. And one of the reasons why we're proposing this is, again, it helps to meet some of the city's goals relative to reducing vehicle miles traveled and some of the other sustainability goals, and then also in terms of reducing the impact of traffic on our arterial streets. This is something that will help to relieve that and to even out our traffic flow. And so there's a number of reasons why we have proposed this for you in terms of meeting some of the city's goals, even though, again, that there was some concern on the part of the home builders relative to this. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. In terms of our process, if I could move on to the next slide, in addition to having a customer feedback committee that worked very closely with us, we also had 3 public meetings held between October and November, giving the public opportunities to review the draft and look at what we were proposing. And as I had mentioned, we had reviewed this with the Planning Commission. We actually took that to them in 3 chunks, if you will, again, considering the length of the document, in September, October, and November. And finally, in November, they did recommend approval of that. And so we're in the process of preparing the Unified Development Code in ordinance format, and we'll have that before you in January. If I could move to the next slide. Now, associated with some of the changes that we're proposing as part of the Unified Development Code, we will need to make some modifications to the city's master plan and also to Title 13, our street standards. And so what we would propose to you is that the Unified Development Code would have an effective date approximately in April, which would allow us to make those associated changes to the master plan and to Title 13, and so that all of those will be in conformance when the code becomes effective. Again, this was just an informational item. We just wanted to make sure that you had a copy of the draft code. We understand that there will be questions, and we wanted to make sure that you had adequate time to review it before it comes to you in ordinance format. So thank you again for your support of this project. We'd like to thank again the support of our Customer Feedback Committee members, Public Works, and the other city departments that have worked with us so diligently on this. Thank you.
If I may, one other thing, Mayor Pro Tem, just very quickly. We did review other codes within the valley. We reviewed the Henderson Code in North Las Vegas and looked very carefully at what they were doing to ensure that our code would place us in a position as we wish to be of leadership in the valley and ensure that we have the flexibility necessary to accommodate development in the community in the region, and that review of those other codes has been part of our work as we've gone forward with this project.
Thank you, Margot. Are there any questions of Margot or Flynn? This is a public hearing. Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll move to accept this report and look forward to what we hear later on in January. Any question on the motion? Cast your vote. Post, please. Motion carries. Item 106, I would like to instruct the city clerk to set the public hearing dates and appeals from the City Planning Commission meetings and dangerous buildings for nuisance litter abatements. And before we go to citizen participation, I just want to make a comment to those watching. We did honor and recognize our planning director this morning, who is leaving us to go to City of San Bernardino in California. And I don't think the council members had a chance this morning to say too much because the mayor was in such a hurry. And I for one, feel like that we all have something to say we'd like to say to Margot. So anybody up here would like to say anything about Margot?
Yeah.
Councilman Ross, please.
Director, are you crazy? This is the best city in the country. How can we persuade you out of this decision? $2 million, Councilman Anthony says.
Too late, yes, sir.
Director, you have certainly helped me become a better city councilman and understand planning and development. Of course, I was baptized by fire in Ward 6 a few years ago, fastest growing ward in the country at one time. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate your patience, tolerance, and educating me. And Mr. Fagg, I look forward to working with you. And I need you to be just the same. So, and Director, I plan on stopping by in San Bernardino and saying hello to you. So thank you for all you've done for me.
Anybody else? Councilman Wilson, please.
Boy, are we going to miss you. You know, we're going to miss your professionalism, like Councilman Ross talks about, your planning, knowledge, and everything. But most of all, the greeting cards. You send such nice greeting cards. I know I'm not the only one that gets them. I imagine we all get them. And those are really big greeting card shoes to fill. So whoever takes your spot, you know, make that note that we expect the same kind of greetings, but equally, if not more, your nice smile, your sense of humor, and your just pleasant way about doing things. So we love you, and we're going to miss you a lot.
Thank you. Councilman Barlow?
Yes, thank you. Margot, thank you for everything. Everything. You, I'm most definitely going to miss everything about you. I mean, we've had an opportunity to grow a little bit together, and a lot of the information that you have provided me to assist me in my growth on the council has been received with welcome arms, and allowing your staff to spread their wings and to get out and be a part of the community as well as the city as a whole, and not holding them back from being the great professionals that they are in the planning department. And I'm most definitely going to remain in contact with you. You're right down the street, so when I come through there, I'll let you know in advance. Maybe I'll grab you for lunch or something like that on my way through. In addition to that, I know that your staff is just as sad as I am to see that you go, to see that you're leaving, and but you most definitely have left a very impressionable mark, not only on the city of Las Vegas, but the city of Las Vegas as a whole, as a professional in our community. And so for that, we are truly blessed to have had such a wonderful person as you, and look forward to working with the next director. Hopefully it's Flynn Fagg. That's what my support is. But most definitely, you've trained a lot of professionals in your department to most definitely come behind you and do just as great of a job as you've done. So thank you so very much for everything, and God bless you.
Councilwoman?
Margot, you are really, truly, and I mean this most sincerely, one of the finest professionals with whom I've ever worked. I've worked with many. You know, it didn't matter how small the question or how we didn't understand things. You always took the time and you met with us. All we had to do was call. And any question at all, you were there for us. The other thing is, you know, as I look down at you now, I think of all the times I've been able to look at you and see you smile or see you think or things like that. And it's been a special thing for me. I don't know what it is about this, but the first time you and I ever attended a council meeting together, Ward 1 had a sexually oriented business. And the last time, too. I don't know what it is. Just Ward 1. That's how it goes. But, you know, I don't know if you know how much you are loved. I don't know if you know how often the mayor has spoken about how you're out there at these meetings and how much people respect you from all over the country, how much I could see that when we went to that USC meeting, and I am going to miss you terribly. I truly am, and I don't think it's fair. but God bless you and good luck to you.
Councilman Anthony?
Thank you, Mayor. When I came on a year and a half ago, I thought I knew a little bit about planning, and then I spent 1 hour with Margot, and I understood I knew nothing about planning because she had me spinning. I had no idea what she was talking about. But I tell you, the last year and a half, you spent a lot of time with me, and you educated me, and you had a lot of patience, and you answered my questions, you answered my liaisons, hundreds of questions, and you really got me up to speed, and I appreciate that, because you're a smart lady. You know all about planning, and the interesting thing is anybody who's listening, all they need to do is look around Las Vegas, and they can see Margot Wheeler everywhere. I mean, you've left your imprint in Las Vegas, and I know we talked about why you're leaving, why you're moving on to San Bernardino, and you have some good reasons for doing it, but you had a big part of building Las Vegas, and I appreciate that, and thanks for all your time, and I'll still probably be calling you for questions every once in a while. Even though you have great staff, I just have a lot of confidence in you. So good luck, and God bless, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. For the council members, the reason I did this now, I've noticed over the years that when we get to citizen participation, this group down here is putting their stuff away and they're getting ready to leave and stuff. And I just wanted to make sure we had a chance to say what we wanted about Margot. With me, I guess my big thing is nobody ever called and checked with me from San Bernardino, because I would have really told them about Margot. She wouldn't have got the job. I'd have told them how she's always late for our meetings, how we always have to wait. I mean, I'd have really fixed you up if they'd have contacted me. So I'm glad you didn't use me as a reference. But anyhow, I've been here, it seems like, since Methuselah, but I guess when you talk about our planning department, we had Bob Ginzer, and then we had Bob Ginzer, and then we had Bob Ginzer, and then we got Margot. And Bob Ginzer, I guess when he told me he was leaving, I asked him, I says, well, what? He says, Margot. He says she's smarter than I am. And I said, that's got to be saying a lot. So I know you have got a department that is second to none in the United States of America, and I know that we're going to be able to replace you with somebody, but you'll always be in our hearts. And I know the other council members have said a lot of things that I was going to say. I don't like repetition too much, but you are one of a kind, and you will be missed by a lot of us. And I won't promise you I'll stop and see you, because I'm never going back to California. I hate California. Anyhow, I'll always remember what you told me on the phone, too.
Okay. If I could just say one...
I'll remind you
Okay,
later.
please do that.
Okay.
If I can just say one thing, it's never been about me, it's about the department. And as I tell my folks, all of the cities I've been in and all of the people that I've had the privilege to hire and work with, that to me, my job is if every one of them wants to become a planning director and I've helped them on that path, then I've done my job, because that's what I have to share with my staff. And I have absolutely no doubt that I'm leaving you with outstanding staff people, a deep bench, and people that can step up and continue all of the things that we've done so far and implement all of the dreams that all of you have for this city. And I thank you for having let me be a part of it while I've been here.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Would you mind a moment of silence for Beverly's mother and their family?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Our city clerk, Beverly Bridges, lost her mother last Saturday, and they're having a funeral tomorrow. I believe it's at Palm Mortuary downtown at 11 o'clock in the morning. And at this time, we would ask for a minute of silence for Beverly's mother. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ricky. Our next subject or item is number 107, citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No subject may be acted upon by the City Council unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Mr. Farlow?
Yes, thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Margot, the peanut section is going to miss you. Something terrible.
Nikki? 3 minutes.
Council, about a month ago, Mark Vincent made a presentation on budget projections. I want to start by saying this. I have all the confidence in the world with Mark Vincent. It has absolutely nothing to do with the gentleman and the performance of his job. Now, with that said, when you remember when he gave his presentation, he said that his budget projections was based upon the best data that he could find. My question to the council is this: what happens if that data is flawed? I would like to know what is our standby position if the economy really tanks. In the next 3 or 4 citizen participations, I am going to address that issue and something, and my suggestion after that of what we might do to alleviate that. Right now, I'm trying to get all the copyright permissions and that on my backup. But I do have, through you, Mayor Pro Tem, I do have 3 questions for the city attorney that I would like to have answered, if he could. Number 1, can the State Bank of North Dakota operate in Nevada? Number 2, can banks hold subsidiary companies? In other words, can they operate holding companies? And also that, the second part of that, with a separate board of directors. Number 3, in Nevada, can the state, county, or city own a bank? Because they are corporations as I know it. This morning, the state Assembly Speaker, Mr. Osigeri, put out projections that were absolutely dismal. Nevada was on near the bottom of a lot of that stuff. And when you're in a race to the bottom, it's pretty hard when you're already on the bottom. And he said that it's going to get pretty ugly. So in the next citizen participations, I'll be addressing that issue. Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Thank you.
Want to ask that question real quick?
You can meet him after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Dorothy Barnes, Las Vegas resident. I have a mailing address of P.O. Box 466, Las Vegas, Nevada 89125. I'd just like to encourage and invite anyone that's in distress to give me the signatures on a promissory note, because there are a lot of people that are still in distress, even with the stand downs and all the homeless services and all the social services. There are a lot of people in distress. I myself is yet in distress because of these organized crime program that's being promoted and encouraged, and I ask law enforcement hopefully to get some control over the line and the deceit and the stuff that's going on Nellis Air Force Base with these programs. They're ruining a lot of people's life and health, including my own, and I just want to encourage people to give me a signature on a promissory note on my ticket. I know there are a lot of people in distress because of these programs, and I hate to see people suffer like at their mercy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? So now we'll close the citizen participation. Item 108 is any member of council who wishes to speak on this portion of the agenda. Councilman Olson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have another missing child to draw to everybody's attention. I want to thank Nevada Child Seekers for providing me with this information prior to each meeting. I'm very pleased to say that 6 of the 12 children that we've been able to highlight have been located. This is a great number, and I want to thank everybody in the community for their assistance in finding these children. I truly believe the more people looking for these kids, the better chance we have of finding them. Today's child is 16 years old and has been missing since November 23rd of this year. Her picture and descriptive traits are on the screen right now. Her name is Carly Rae Carter. She's 5 foot 3 inches tall and weighs 135 pounds, hazel eyes and blonde hair, also has a pierced lip. She was last seen at Sunrise Hospital. She has her 3-week-old baby girl with her and may be in the company of a 19-year-old white male named Austin. If you know where Carly Rae is, please contact Nevada Child Seekers at 458-7009 or Las Vegas Metro Missing Persons Unit at 828-3111. Information about Carly Rae and other missing children is available on Nevada Child Seekers website at www.nevadachildseekers.org. Thank you.
Councilman, I want you to know something. I appreciate what you do. I do. It's something I'm tickled to death that we're doing it. Councilman Ross?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And council members, I want to express my appreciation to the 10th floor staff for making such a wonderful holiday feast for us today, and let them know publicly how much I appreciated it, and just wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year. And Margot, good luck to you.
Councilwoman? Nope.
Turn your mic on. Turn your mic on.
Extend warm wishes for Merry Christmas and a great New Year
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Councilman Barlow, sir.
Thank you, sir. This Friday, I would like to invite the entire council out to the second annual Ward 5 Christmas tree lighting ceremony out at Lorenzi Park. It's going to be an exciting, entertaining ceremony. We have a 20-foot tall Christmas tree coming in, and it will be lit by 15 area elementary schools who have decorated all of the ornaments for the tree. The ornament placement will take place from 2 to 4, and the light will be lit at 5 p.m. Santa will be there, so please bring your digital cameras to take a picture with Santa. We have train rides, we have horse carriage rides, we have carolers all over the park, a fun, festive activity, and we will begin the movie Christmas with the Cranks at 6 p.m. sharp. Lots of popcorn, cotton candy, hot cocoa. Starbucks will be there to donate the hot drinks and hot dogs for the entire family. So please bring your blankets, your lawn chairs, and we're going to have a nice event to celebrate Christmas. With that, I also would like to remind the community that the City of Las Vegas will be closed from December 26th through January 3rd. And so please be reminded that the city will be closed down December 26th through January 3rd, reopening Monday, January 3rd. And in conclusion, I would like to say that I wish the entire Las Vegas community, but in particular, fabulous Ward 5 and all of my great constituents, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing you all next year. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Councilman. I do want to let you know I won't be able to accept your invitation on Friday night. I got 3 kids, and they play this co-ed softball stuff, and it's cold out there watching them play softball. But, you know, I don't hardly miss any of them games, so I'm going to be over there at the ballpark with a blanket wrapped around me watching my kids play.
Well, make sure you bring your blanket anyway.
That's it, buddy. That's it.
All right. Thank you, man.
Councilman Anthony?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank the council members for all they do for the city of Las Vegas and what we're able to accomplish working together. And Margot, again, thank you. And I want to wish everybody a very, 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 very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday and a safe one. So we're adjourned.